All right, it should be good. All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? All right, so we're gonna start here in about 5 minutes. While we're waiting to start, I'll be answering questions. We got a lot planned. I'm gonna present a big presentation. Then we got two guests after that. So looking like a 12-year-old today, bro. Yeah, because 12-year-olds have a beard, right? What's up? Do you do one-on-one coaching still? I applied for it. Yeah, I do one-on-one coaching. I haven't looked at it. So if you applied yesterday, I'll get back to you. About to get out of school. Well, we're gonna start in about 5-10 minutes. So while people file in. Watching this while next to a river outside. Good job spending time in nature, bro. What are beginner plyometrics? Beginner plyometrics are low intensity plyometrics at a low frequency. So, like, I could give you, it's tough to give you just a simple like answer because there's so much involved in it. Mario, no glaze, but Mario's the most underrated fitness influencer. Thing is, I don't post fitness content anymore, so. Is Martin going to join up? He will. He's not one of the guests. No, he doesn't count as one of the guests, but yes, he will. Did Andrew Tate fall off? People don't realize you can't stay at like the top, quote unquote, for like so long. Hey, Mar, do you still do personal training? No. I stopped doing personal training years ago. I'm surprised people don't know that. I like how YouTube brothers serve different purposes now on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense anyways at the end of it. By the way, drop a like on the stream if you haven't already, just so we can get more people in here, but we're filing in people. Are you Rhodesian? I don't even know what that means. Are you from Rhode Island? Is that what that means? What training do you do other than lifting weights? I mean, I'll play sports from time to time, so like kickboxing, soccer sometimes. It just depends on like what type of like season I'm in, if you want to call it that. Have you wrestled before? I have, but not like at like a high level. I'm surprised, Mario. How come you're not in the fitness industry anymore? Because I just wanted to make content on different things, man. It's kind of that simple. How long will the stream be? I don't know. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Would you compete for Misfits? I don't know. Do I do one-on-one coaching? Yes, but I'm gonna get back into it. I know you're the Catholic. Do you pray I pray the Rosary, but I don't think it's either or. Do you drink energy drinks? Sometimes, yeah. But we're gonna start in like 5-10 minutes, just while people file in, and I'm answering questions until then. What's up, Andrew? What's up, Cyrus? How many genders are there? Open up your science textbook and you'll see. Been like loving the content. You got me through some times. How much sun you get a day? I mean, I try to get. It depends like how busy I am. Like a lot of these, like how much I exercise, what I'm doing. It depends on a lot of things. Best fighting sport to learn. It's going to be boxing, probably. What do you think about eating raw meat? Why not just cook it? Do people not read the pinned message? I said we're starting in like 5. Opinion on Charlie Kirk situation. I mean, make it more of a specific question, then it'll be easier to answer it. Gym in the morning or afternoon? In the morning. Is the movement a religious or fitness movement? I'm not going to spoil anything, so. What's your opinion on Bruce Lee? I don't know. Go watch Chelsea. I don't like Chelsea. My brother likes Chelsea. I don't like Chelsea. All right, people are filing in. We'll probably start about like 3:10. Mario, thoughts on ketosis? It's a survival mechanism, but it doesn't necessarily mean like. Why is there an ad on my thing? All right, there we go. Can you tell Lucas Tracy to start streaming again, please? He can make his own decisions. I think he's a grown man. Yeah, I was like, why did an ad show up? I'll have to keep in mind when the ads show up, I guess, so that I can like pause. All right, we're starting at 3:10. Are you going to UFC 322? Is that one in New York? Then no. In New York, they like put the prices on steroids. What kind of question is that? Do you think Leon's going to beat Prates? Yeah. Some of your audience isn't Christian but still believe in God. Well, in my sense, they wouldn't know who God really is because Jesus Christ is God. Are you natty still? Yeah. Honestly, if you take steroids, it's like if you idolize fitness, that's kind of the only reason you are taking steroids. Do you listen to Juice WRLD? No. I used to. Besides Leon, who are your favorite UFC fighters? Topuria and Oliveira. I know it's weird. Whoops, my bad, brother. All right, I'm going to get the presentation on screen. Cool. All right, we're going to start here in a moment. Hello, Mario. I remember you commenting on one of your first lives. Okay. Mario, how important is having a high glycemic carb like your brother says? I've said it for years how important it is. So, all right, we're starting in 3 minutes. Are we still beefing with Shane Nurmagomedov? No, I've never beefed with Shane Nurmagomedov. People think that having differing fitness opinions means that we're beefing. Like if you beef over fitness, like it isn't that deep ultimately. So Mario, who do you think is the most athletic UFC fighter right now? Most athletic? I mean, the thing is like it comes down to skill ultimately. Most athletic. I don't know. That's a tough one because you don't really look at athleticism because if someone gets a takedown, you're like, oh, he's strong. So you look at it differently. Will you fight a bodybuilder? I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking to fight anybody right now. I know you're religious, but are you Catholic or no? I'm Catholic, but I'm not religious. I just believe in the truth, and the truth is Jesus Christ. So. Have you ever tried Gi BJJ? I did it for like 6 months. Prediction for JDM versus Islam? Probably JDM. But I don't know. I never picked for the Muslim guys for some reason. It's not even conscious. Why do you hate on Islam? I've never hated on Islam, dude. It's what Buzzle said. The truth, the way, and the life is Jesus Christ. That's what it comes down to. All right. Let me unpin this. What's your opinion on Islam? I believe Christianity is the truth, so therefore Islam is false. All right, guys, we'll start here in like 1 minute. And we'll go ahead and get started. Can you give me a quick 4-day workout? Upper, lower? Upper, lower is on. Don't know if you want to answer this, but can you say anything about Kirk? Don't agree with everything he says. I agree with some things he says, and murder is never the answer, and I pray for him and his family. All right, guys. You guys ready? If I get a bunch of yeses, we'll go ahead and start. All right. Let's go. Everyone seems to be ready. So I'm going to start while people still file in. Again, if you haven't liked the stream yet, go ahead and like the stream, and we'll get started. All right. All right. If you don't know, I'm Mario Rios, and welcome to my new movement, the Green Pill Project. This is a free event. We got guest speakers, free gifts, and everything. So it's going to be a wild ride. Buckle up. All right. You guys ready again? Yeah, everyone seems to be pumped up. So let's go. If you're anything like me, you know that going to the gym only to look aesthetic and look like Leon Edwards is flawed, right? I'm not saying it's not a good goal, but ultimately, if you think that's going to make your life complete, if you think you're ever going to be satisfied with your physique, you're wrong. So I'm going to show you the art of getting extremely athletic while having a great physique without training for 3 hours a day and without starving yourself, okay? But I do want to warn you, this isn't a promise. You're going to become huge, an athlete, or the next Mr. Olympia, or the next UFC champion, or get any other result. And most people do nothing at all, so your results will vary. So if you see text like this at the bottom of the screen, it's just there to remind you of that fact, okay? But this doesn't mean that I won't help you today, because I will. And by the end of this live, you'll know how to be as athletic as a top athlete without training more, plus how to build a physique like an athlete, plus a mindset. This is a complete guide on how to become a super athlete, essentially. Top athletes like Cristiano Ronaldo, my boy Leon Edwards, channel favorite, Ilia Topuria, Jude Bellingham, Aaron Judge, and Shea Gregory. Is this what you guys want? And then people are complaining about an ad. I don't know why there's ads, but is this what you guys want? Yep. All right. This is what you guys want. All right, perfect. Let's get into it. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Am I really going to give everyone here live a secret gift that's better than a gym membership and less than an iPhone? The answer is yes. 1,000%. And every single person here live today will get one for free. But I can't tell you what it is yet. You'll have to stay to the end and find out what it is. Now to the main event. The reason we're doing this live today is because we realize that fitness is losing its meaning. I've talked about it for 3 years when I was in fitness. I was talking about how bodybuilders are kind of skewing fitness into things that it shouldn't be. Bodybuilders look gross. You guys are familiar with all that kind of stuff. Fitness isn't about being fit anymore, and it's losing its entire meaning. The main focus of fitness used to be improving your health, your body, and your mental state. But now for most people, it's about reaching a fake standard. This dude is natural and vegan, by the way. A large percent of our generation constantly compare themselves with people who train 5 times more than them, who claim natural, while still expecting to achieve the same results in just a few months. You can tell this by if you go on Instagram and you see the most blatant steroid body transformation. And people are like, yeah, that's achievable naturally. And then you go and look at their profile picture and they're smaller than you. That's just an example of how people don't understand what is achievable naturally, and then they compare themselves. So most people end up giving up. And the satisfaction you're looking for from a great physique doesn't end when you get a great physique. I've talked about this more in my recent content, how getting an insane physique doesn't complete you. Getting the trophy wife you think will complete you doesn't. Getting money, fame, none of that stuff will complete you. One good example is William Lee. Do you guys remember William Lee? Let me know if you guys do. I know it's been a while, and I'm going to go into why it's been a while here in a second. Yeah, it looks like everybody, some people don't. Most people seem to recognize that, yeah, it's been a while. So some of you obviously know him and his story, but for those of you who don't, William Lee was a huge influencer with over 8 million followers across all platforms. He had like 4 million subscribers on YouTube. When I first started YouTube, he was like the main guy, right? And then he had another 4 million on TikTok and then about 1 million on Instagram. And as you can see, he had an incredible physique. Rate his physique from 1 to 10. Let's see what you guys say. 7 out of 10, 8, 8, 100, 8. Seems like we're about an 8 or 9 out of 10, right? And I'm sure many of you, if you got this physique, you'd think you'd feel a certain way. And it's obviously safe to assume he wasn't struggling financially at all. Simple terms, he had money. And he had a lot of followers and supporters. He wasn't just viral, he was loved by the community. Everyone seemed to love him. They're the opposite of me. Everyone seemed to love this guy. So you would assume that he'd be extremely happy and satisfied with what he has. But if you look at his channel, you won't see any recent video published. The last videos he published were over 2 years ago. That's because he became depressed, lonely, and he started to hate his life. For the constant expectations and pressure from social media to have a better physique. He wouldn't record a video and show himself unless he was pumped, not puffy, and looking particularly good on that day. Fun fact, when I was recording outside, I was never pumped. But William Lee was the opposite. He had to get pumped, and he had to look good that day. For me, I had to get 2 videos done that day, so I wasn't all getting a pump and doing push-ups and stuff. All this even drove him to abandon his family and friends and move to Thailand. The reason? Because hot countries make you look more vascular and tanned, which is the truth. I don't know if you guys noticed, when it's the winter, you're not as vascular as you are when it's the summertime. His focus on looking better pressured him so much that he completely abandoned a lifetime of hard work, his brand, his family, and his happiness. After reading that, do you think that all you need is a better physique? I used to, but what do you guys think? Do you think that all you need is a better physique to be happy, fulfilled, and complete? No. Liam Smart. Okay, everyone seems to be smart on this one. They know. One of you even said you need God. It looks like, I'm glad that everyone's getting this, because this is something that most people don't realize with fitness, is that it's not going to make you better or make you feel any better. And you wouldn't be wrong in any case, because building an incredible physique is an extremely healthy goal. And obviously we got the Dorito physique here. I'd claim that his arms are a little too big to be aesthetic. His calves are too big, obviously, but he's got the shape. And that's obviously what we're going for, the Dorito physique. But it doesn't have to go past that. The main goal is always to be healthy and gain control over our body and mind. This is just what I want you always to keep in mind. Not just for this event, but for your daily lives. That being said, let's start. Secret 1, why athletes always improve. How long have you guys been training for? If you guys don't know, I've been training since 2018. So let's see how long you guys have been training for. 67 years. 3 years, a year, 2 years, a year. So it looks like most people are around the 1 to 3 year mark. Do you think the only thing you need is to train more? Do you think that the only thing you need to make more progress, feel better about yourself is to train more? Yes. No. No. Okay. It looks like we're pretty split, but I'd say most people think that, like, no, the only thing you need is to train more. Because that's what I thought. I thought all I needed was to train more. And during this period where I was shifting from like full-time gym, I shifted to gym and martial arts. And this concept applies to all sports. I started adding endurance workouts during the week on top of my strength training and skill sessions because I obviously wanted to get better endurance for martial arts. Nothing sucks more than gassing out during a fight. It's the worst feeling in the world. I remember getting taken down and like I had no energy to get back up. That was the worst feeling. But after doing so for some time, I noticed that no matter how hard I tried, my endurance did not get better. And I discovered that I wasn't the only one. A client of mine was having the exact same issue as me. So we decided to improve together. He's a very skilled Muay Thai fighter, but there comes a point where you need more than just skills. He used to strength train 3 times a week, train Muay Thai another 3 times a week, 3 hours a day, 5 times a week, and he tried to stack endurance on top of that. And yeah, obviously he's a beast. He's training a lot. So you'd think with that amazing work ethic and discipline on top of that much training, he overcame the problem of endurance in the blink of an eye, right? Well, that's what everyone would think. But sometime later, he reached out to me for help. We discussed his routine and the goals he wanted to achieve, and it was clear why he wasn't getting results. Mixed goals equals mixed results. Believe it or not, most people don't get this. They think that if I train strength and endurance and power at the same time, I'm going to get crazy results. When in reality, that's just not true, and it defies all strength and conditioning principles. And it was clear why he wasn't getting results. He was trying to improve endurance and strength and power, all while doing lots of skills sessions. I don't think people, when they think of developing as an athlete, they don't remember sometimes that they're doing skills training and that's their priority on top of endurance, strength, and power. If you want to get better at a sport, most of the time you just need more training. But if you're trying to build a specific physical quality, whether it's strength, endurance, or power, you need less overall training and more volume and intensity on that specific quality. And at the time, I had just discovered the best way to get the best out of a situation. I realized how to develop myself completely as an athlete. So I helped him and I decided to test it. And that solution is something you hear my brother talk a lot about, and he's going to talk a lot about now. Keep in mind, he's not the guest for today, but he's a smart guy on strength and conditioning. So I'm going to let my brother take over here.
All right. I guess you can go ahead and control the slide. So yeah, I've been talking a lot about block training recently. So I think it's super important and a lot of people don't know about it. To make sure you get the best information possible, yeah, I'll take over. So go, Nick. So block training. So with my client, before his training lacked focus, he was wasting a lot of energy by lifting heavy in the gym and then stacking endurance work on top of that, hoping that he would have great endurance and be strong and powerful. And you guys can kind of tell with that, he's just going to get terrible results everywhere because he's fatigued. So we decided to switch things up. With block training, we focus all our training efforts on endurance instead of just throwing in a couple endurance sessions. And instead of trying to get stronger, more powerful while doing a bunch of Muay Thai sessions, we just focus on improving endurance by itself. What changed? A lot changed. He stopped gassing out during training and fights. And now he trains over 3 hours a day without struggle and now has amazing endurance. He's become a beast and loves his new schedule. Does it make sense why he wasn't getting better? If you want to have amazing endurance and incredible strength and tons of power, you need to implement block training. You can't just do all of it at once and expect to get good at these things. But what exactly is block training and how do you use it? Block training is when you focus on one, sometimes two physical qualities and put all your training efforts into that. Instead of trying to improve everything at once, you focus on building one thing at a time, then move on to a different adaptation if necessary. Why it works? It works because your body adapts faster when it gets a clear signal instead of a bunch of different signals moving in different directions. If you tell your body to get stronger for a few weeks, it adapts better than if you mix strength, speed, endurance, and size all at once. This pulls your body in different directions, which is known as the interference effect. By focusing on one goal, you achieve great results because you give your body a specific adaptation with enough volume and intensity to improve. That's typically why I don't recommend concurrent training, even though it has its place. It's because, especially once you get to intermediate or advanced level, you cannot put enough volume or intensity in a particular adaptation to improve. With beginners, you can because they don't need much, but once you get to intermediate or advanced, you will. And like I said, disclaimer, beginners can make great results even when training multiple things at once since they don't need much volume to improve. And if you're an athlete in season who's looking to just maintain a bunch of different qualities, it can make sense. So how to implement it? If you're ready to go to the gym but don't know how to use block training, here's how. Ask yourself this question, which so many people don't ask themselves this question. What do I want to improve during this block? Do not choose multiple things or broad goals such as I want to be more athletic, focus on one specific goal. So like a lot of people do broad goals like I want to be more athletic or I want to improve strength, endurance, and power. It's like focus on a specific goal and go at that. After that, make your main focus the core of your program. Then choose a secondary focus that you maintain or gradually improve with lower training volume. This secondary focus should be kept at a low volume, for example, lifting twice per week during an endurance block. The goal is to maintain the adaptation, not to push it further, although you might actually improve at it. We want to avoid building unnecessary fatigue or creating interference that could take away from the main objective. Like, for example, doing a bunch of endurance sessions with strength sessions is just going to cause a bunch of fatigue, which will impact your performance in both of these things, as well as the interference effect. So here are some examples. So most people do this, and this particular example will be for an off-season athlete or a hybrid athlete who doesn't have very many training sessions. So many hybrid athletes even do more than this, but they'll do 3 strength days, 3 endurance days, all at a high volume and a high intensity. This is asking for mid results in both due to interference and fatigue. And for endurance in particular, for endurance, you need high frequency to see improvements. So 3 days per week is really not enough, especially if you want a high level of endurance. Again, training days can vary based on how much sport training you do and how intense they are. For example, with my client, he was training 5 days per week Muay Thai for long sessions. So we would do a lot less direct strength and conditioning work. So for this example, pick one goal, and we're going to do endurance for this particular example. So for endurance, you want to do 4 to 5 endurance sessions at varied intensities, along with 2 low volume lifting days focused on maintaining strength, power, and muscle. This approach minimizes interference by giving the body a clear signal. It allows you to train endurance at the proper intensity since lifting is not causing excessive fatigue and ensures you provide enough endurance volume to make real improvements. This secondary focus should be kept at a low volume, such as lifting once or twice per week during an endurance block, again, to keep the fatigue lower and just to focus on the goal, which is endurance in this case. The aim is to maintain the adaptation without accumulating unnecessary fatigue or creating interference that could reduce progress towards the main goal. I gave you the basics. Now you need to implement it based on your specific goals, as well as your training schedule and other things like that. Do you think this can help you out a lot? Good. Yeah. Great, because we're not done. And I'll let my brother Mario take over from here now.
All right, I'm back now. Martin talked a little bit about block training. Now, I'm going to tell you about how you can build more muscle by cutting 30 minutes from your gym session. If you've seen my recent body transformation, I have talked about how I've cut a lot of time off my workout and built more muscle. And that's what we're basically going over in secret 2. I know so far we talked about having a better physique won't solve anything, and how consistently chasing a better one is an unhealthy behavior. I'm sure you know taking steroids is what happens when you chase a crazy physique, right? Because you can take it a step too far, and that's what that is. But this isn't an excuse not to train hard, not to improve, and not be the best version of yourself, which comes with a better physique. We have to take care of our body, and part of that is building muscles. Because muscles aren't just visual. They are proof that your body is adapting. If you train to become stronger and better but don't develop muscles, you have a much lower potential for strength and power. I'm sure you guys noticed this, that when you add more muscle, your potential for power and strength is higher, right? So if you want to bench 315, you have to add a bit more muscle so you can bench 315. That's why you don't see people who weigh 130 pounds benching 315. If they can, they're a super freak. But getting strong will make you bigger. Because getting strong will make you bigger, in order to be stronger, your body needs bigger muscles. Because as we said previously, muscles are amazing, but when they become an obsession and your entire personality revolves around that, that's a little bit too much, right? We don't like the people whose entire personality is anything, let alone just lifting weights. So we need to train hard. And if we'll train very hard, we might as well do it the best way possible, right? That's pretty obvious. We want to, and that's why we can do that taking 30 minutes off your workout. But why 30 minutes off of your workout? Actually, it can be even more than that. At the start of my journey, I was struggling to go to the gym. I'm sure you guys remember that. I was like 16. I was very insecure about how skinny, small, and weak I was, and I struggled. I had a belief that I had to train 2 to 3 hours in a row and build as much fatigue and soreness as possible. But this belief made me think that training was far more stressful and less rewarding than it needed to be. So me not going to the gym led me to one simple thing. I got 0 results. But then something changed. After some time, I finally got some results. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was enough to give me the confidence I needed to pursue fitness. I fell in love with going to the gym and completely reversed my situation. I went from struggling to train for 2 hours a couple times a week to training every day for 2 hours and sometimes twice a day. When I was in college, I would do like legs in the morning and then go back at night to do shoulders, because I thought that if I trained more, I'd make more progress, which is a normal thought, but I had an obsession with building muscle and it just didn't work. I was doing everything that you can possibly think of to build as much muscle as possible on my body. I was doing over 6 sets per exercise. I was doing drop sets. I was doing rest pause sets. My brother was helping me with assisted reps, lowering the weight, etc. I was doing all of the strategies that these bodybuilders back in the day were coming up with to maximize their muscle growth. And no matter how hard I trained, it never felt enough to me. I thought I needed to do more to gain more. So I'm sure you've heard of the person who says, yeah, I go to the gym 2 hours a day. That was me, because I thought I needed to spend more time in the gym to build more muscle. If I didn't spend over 2 hours at the gym and I didn't give my everything in terms of my effort and my time, I would get demoralized and upset with myself. And I thought I was leaving gains on the table. And after some time of doing this, I'd reached a state where I was always tired. I was always in a constant brain fog. And I would go to the gym full of energy. By the end of the day, I was completely dead. Maybe that's why my college grades weren't as good as they should have been, because all my energy and all my attention was all on 2 hours, maybe 3 hours at the gym, going hard and maximizing my progress. This stress in my body kept rising up. During every training session, I was constantly shifting between having a normal workout and feeling extremely weak. I'm sure you guys are kind of noticed the plateaus sometimes, or like the fluctuations of your gym performance. And that is not something you can't solve, nor is it like an accident. But I kept doing it over and over every single day. And it would be worth it, right? How much results do you think I got during that period? How much results do you think I got when I was training super hard every day, 2 to 3 hours in the gym, and overall just spending my whole life, energy, and goals on building muscle. Zero, minimal results, no results, right? One, which I guess none, very little. The most obvious answer would be that I got amazing results, probably the best one of my life, right? Because if you spend more time on something, you're going to get more progress. But that was obviously a lie, and many of you got that. Because during that period, I got barely more results than when I was struggling to train, when I was struggling to get the motivation and the discipline to get in the gym. I barely saw more progress. Yes, I got some results, right? Like, I'm in the gym, you're lifting weights, your body's going to adapt to some degree. But was all that effort worth it? All those days and nights, I was moving events. I was skipping parties. I missed family gatherings just because I was so obsessed with the gym and the results I wanted to achieve that I prioritized it over everything else that was important to me. And I thought I just needed to rest and recover better, but nothing I tried would end up working. And why do you think that is? Because there's a huge problem in all of this. I used to think that soreness was always a good determinator of how hard you trained, and that if you weren't sore, it meant you didn't train hard enough. But this is just wrong. All this time I've been training twice a day with 6 sets, forced reps, drop sets, assisted reps, etc. I was just accumulating fatigue. In the bodybuilding world, you call this junk volume. And I'm seeing there's an ad on the screen, so I'm going to wait a quick second. But was it really worth it? Absolutely not. Those are like times where I spent 2 to 3 hours in the gym when I could have been, I don't know, playing FIFA or something. But I don't regret those times. One of my favorite quotes in life is, you can't regret anything if you're happy where you are now. And I'm happy where I am now. So I don't regret those times. Because they're what pushed me to study for years and how to train better and avoid these countless horrible pieces of advice I found on the internet. 4 years later, 4 years later, this is what my routine looks like. I go to the gym, I train for 45 to 60 minutes, and then I go home. I went from 2-3 hours in the gym to like 45 minutes, 60 minutes. And yep, that's it. It may look like it's not enough, but it literally is. Because you have to understand that exercise is stress. Think of it like medicine. If you take the right amount, it makes you healthier and stronger. If you take too much, it starts to harm you, right? And if you completely overdo it, it can even break you down. And that's a light way of putting it. The key is to finding the sweet spot where the stress from training pushes your body to adapt, but it doesn't overwhelm your ability to recover. And I managed to find that sweet spot. This is all thanks to a single discovery: the minimum effective dose. What is my minimum effective dose principle? Do the least amount of sets possible that maximizes results. I got the same results, if not better, doing 20 sets compared to 25. So I went back down to 20. If you do more sets than necessary, which is called junk volume, you accumulate unnecessary fatigue. If you do less, you recover faster. You save time and you actually improve more in the long run. Your body can only handle so much stress, lifting, cardio, daily life. Every workout adds stress, and recovery removes it. Okay, you build muscle, you build strength, power when you're recovering. Your workout just gives you an opportunity to do that. Here we go. If you keep adding stress without enough recovery, fatigue piles up like debt. Managing it means balancing hard training with enough sets so you never go broke. People, you got to get the recovery down if you really want to make progress. Most people waste time by doing tons of extra sets and exercises to failure when their muscles are already exhausted. All right, I'm sure you know the guy who just goes crazy and they've done so much and they keep going, right? That's just dumb. You can save 30 minutes per workout by training smarter, doing fewer sets with higher intensity, push those sets to your limit, and then stop. This gives you the same or even better results because quality beats quantity. The person who works out for 30 minutes as effectively and as hard as they can will beat the person who works out for 3 hours and just like horses around. Because if you can work out for 3 hours, you're horsing around. And you can build strength and muscle without building unnecessary fatigue, and you will finish faster. That's not meant to be sus. In the beginning, it will seem like it's not enough. You do less work and you're already done. But that's not how it works, because remember, you're not chasing a pump, you are chasing stimulus. If after a few sets to failure you don't feel a lot, that's normal. You have to see your results through your improvements, not your pumps. Train hard for a few sets, recover better, save time, and get stronger. This is how you save time, by training hard and only doing what's necessary. Does this make sense? I think it's pretty obvious. It's a simple concept of train smarter, not harder, and focus on quality, not quantity. When I was first in fitness, I thought that quantity mattered. And you all are saying yes. You guys are learning. I'm glad, because we have more. Secret 3, and the last secret, how stress can destroy your career as an athlete. And I'm not talking about workout stress here. I'm talking about like mental stress. I'm sure every one of you has heard how bad stress is. But most of the time we hear that and just go on with our days. Some of us forget, and some of us don't even care at all that we're dealing with stress. But would you listen to me more if I said that stress affects your training and your competitions massively? Some people call this nerves, right? In a training sense. Weakness. When you are stressed, your body keeps releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. At first, this makes you feel alert, but over time, it drains your energy and makes your muscles feel weaker. Your nervous system also gets tired, so your body cannot use stress as well as before. This is why long periods of stress make you physically weak. Stress forces your body to stay 24/7 in a state of high alert, almost like your brain thinks there's danger all the time. So we're either in fight, I guess we're either in like thrive or strive mode. I forgot what it's phrased, but your body can only, and even your mind, reach its full potential when it's not feeling like it's always in survival mode all the time. This uses up a lot of energy, interrupts your sleep, and stops your body from fully recovering at night. I'm sure you guys are like, remember when you got in a big breakup? When you have a big breakup and you're like sad, you'll wake up in the middle of the night. If you're stressed out about something massive coming up, you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't fall back asleep. Okay? That's an example of this. This will lead you to gassing out faster in training, or your muscles getting tired way before they normally would. When you're stressed, your muscles naturally tighten without you even realizing it. If this tension lasts for hours or days, the muscles don't relax properly. This reduces the blood flow, which means less oxygen, less nutrients, and it will cause you to feel heavy when training. It also leads to injuries and muscle tears. So maybe someone said they just got a Planet Fitness ad. Anyways, this reduces blood flow, which means less oxygen and less nutrients reach the muscles. It will cause you to feel heavy during training and leads to injuries and muscle tears. If your favorite athlete is getting injured all the time, send them a nice message in their DMs. Tell them to stop stressing out, because that's probably why they're all stressed, or they're getting injured because they're all stressed out. Stress makes your muscles in your head, face, and neck and shoulders tense. This constant tension, along with changes in blood flow, create a strong pressure in the head. This is why stress often leads to tension headaches, and for some people, it can even trigger painful migraines. Stress keeps your nervous system active all the time. Your brain is tricked into thinking something bad might happen even when nothing is wrong. This is survival mode. You cannot thrive when you're trying to survive. Anxiety, so tension and stress increase anxiety before competition, making it even harder to calm down and think positively, which can greatly affect your chances of winning. Another way to phrase it is just nerves. When you're nervous, right, you can't perform the way you want to and at the level that you want to. Cortisol is a result of low testosterone because it blocks the production of testosterone. People think that estrogen is the opposite of testosterone, when in reality it's cortisol. And you need testosterone for energy, strength, recovery, mood, and even confidence. When your stress stays high, your testosterone stays low. This makes it hard to build muscle. You're going to feel weak. You're going to drain your motivation, lowers your libido, makes you depressed, you feel empty, and it gives you erectile dysfunction, which I'm sure none of you want. So that's a lot of stuff, but what does it actually mean? It means that stress can and will impact you heavily in both your sport and your life. But how can you avoid all of this? Let's look at the most common causes of stress. These are all the common causes of stress. I'm sure you can pause it if you want to, but you can see there's so much stuff that causes stress. And there's a huge problem with all of this. The problem is that you will never be able to solve all of these things. You've seen the list. It is impossible for us to live a life free of all of these things. But there are a few things that can give you the most results with the fewest actions possible. First is diet. So many of you guys are eating this crap stuff, and then you're wondering why you're stressed, you're anxious, you're sad, and you're empty. Eating healthy directly affects your hormones, which play a huge role in stress. Obviously, having nutrient-rich foods help your body balance its hormones, your blood sugar levels, and it helps you stay stable. And a poor diet spikes these bad hormones. The second is meditation and praying. Praying and meditation calm your mind and reduce stress. They also make you more present, and you can stay relaxed, focused, and you have a deeper sense of connection and trust. When you're connected with God, you are more calm. You find more peace. I'm sure many of you who have prioritized your relationship with God know this. Third is lifting weights. Lifting weights reduces stress by improving overall health and signaling your brain that your body is strong and safe. There's a reason why a lot of people want to blow off steam by lifting weights. And pushing yourself hard and releases the tension, releases the stress, leaving you calmer and more in control. Fourth is walking, especially in nature, without music and headphones, by the way. You need to be present. You need to let your thoughts go and observe them. And if you're listening to music, you're not doing that. And when you walk, especially in nature, it calms your mind, lowers stress, and clears your thoughts. Walking barefoot or spending time in direct contact with earth also lets your body absorb Earth's natural energy, helping you balance your nervous system and reduce stress on a deeper level. I really like walking barefoot, but you have to find a good spot because sometimes there's things that hurt your feet. And the last is high quality sleep. Sleep regulates all the functions in your body. Without good sleep, your stress hormones stay high, your body stays tense, your body can't fully recover. Resting well is essential to feeling healthy, calm, and truly stress-free. Essentially, these are the 5 things you need to have as little stress as possible. Funny enough, this helps you build more muscle, helps you be more athletic, helps you be happier. These things should be part of your life, okay? There's 5 things, 5 pieces of advice I can give you for just living a great life. This is it. Now, this is not the only reason why you guys are here. The Green Pill Project, which is my new movement, doesn't end here. But first, before going into everything else, I know you guys are here for a variety of reasons. Let me clarify what the Green Pill is. I'm sure everyone is familiar with these terms: red pill, blue pill, black pill. Okay? And if you're not, in short terms, here's what they mean. So red pill is seeing harsh truths about reality, especially dating and power dynamics, and adapting to win. List some red pill influencers. The first one, I think, Andrew Tate, Sneeko, Hamza. I'm pretty sure those are the main ones. Fresh and Fit, Myron Gaines, all that. Those are the main red pill influencers that I'm aware of. But if you guys have any, list them in the chat so people can kind of get a good grip of what these are. Yeah, Fresh and Fit. I think Fresh and Fit are the main ones. Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers, and all that. So now the blue pill. Blue pill is believing the comforting mainstream narrative, ignorance is bliss. So this is what the red pill people typically say as like people who think they can have a relationship with somebody, a girl. I feel like it's mostly toward dating, but believing like the Disney movies and stuff like that. Now the black pill, which I think are the biggest losers, they believe outcomes are predetermined by factors you cannot change. So effort is pointless. They basically say that your genetics play everything. So they'll say, yeah, I'm like 5'4", I might as well give up. No girl will ever like me. Those are like the black pillars, basically. These are their meanings, but if you've noticed, these concepts have evolved over the past years. And in my opinion, they completely lost their purpose. Red pill, which is what I fell into when I was growing up, is by far the most popular one for ambitious, improvement-seeking men. And I feel like it's the one that helped the most people. But now I don't think so. And you might be wondering what happened. The red pill, like me, started like I started and many others. We thought it was the best solution. It used to tell you that your genetics don't matter, that you can improve by going to the gym, looks maxing, getting a better haircut, getting a better job, making more money, and then building meaningful relationships. That message was great, but look at what you're seeing now. It's just men, and I guess one woman, in the manosphere talking about how you can manipulate girls into sleeping with you whenever you want. And the red pill, or you're just saying you don't have the physique of a movie star, you'll never do anything in life, and you're worth nothing. To give up on your passion in order to start a business, usually by selling the course that they're selling, the $997 course on how to drop ship or some skill that's oversaturated and most people don't make money off of. And then increase your market value, particularly your sexual market value, because they idolize women. And this is probably the worst one. You present yourself as some kind of product, some egotistical product, and you feel the need to increase your value for people who you don't even know. And to clarify, I am not against improving yourself. This is what allowed me to be here. This is why I have a YouTube channel and living the life I always wanted. I'm against improving only to achieve things you don't truly want. Just because a rich and famous person told you need to be that in order to be a real man. We noticed how quickly the new red pill was growing, so my brother and I decided to separate ourselves from it. And this is why we began working on the green pill, all right? The green pill is like just a cool color of improvement. Until a few weeks ago, it was just an idea we kept in our mind during my recent videos, my new spiritual awakening, my new character evolution, whatever you want to call it. But then we decided to share it and see what impact it would have. In short, the green pill is understanding that your entire life is in your hands, no matter where you start, no matter what happens, and you hold the power to shape the outcome. Every setback can be turned into fuel, every obstacle into growth, and every dream into reality. At its core, the green pill is built on 3 unshakable pillars: faith, discipline, and positivity or self-belief. Faith gives you the certainty that your life is always working in your favor. You also have the greatest purpose is glorifying God in your life. Next is discipline, because it gives you the strength to act even when it's hard and you don't want to. And last is positivity, because it gives you the ability to see opportunities where others see defeat. Everybody who's ever accomplished anything has been positive. And together they form a mindset where nothing is wasted, nothing is final, and everything can be transformed into greatness. The green pill is understanding that everything in life is within your control while living with faith in God. It is striving to embody the mentality of Jesus Christ, turning everything into strength, every hardship into growth, and walking with the certainty that with our Creator, nothing is impossible. This is what we're building. And I hope you truly understand our vision and what we're trying to get young men on. And after this amazing story, it's time to give you what you've been waiting for and what we promised you, which is a secret gift. That is better than a gym membership, but less than an iPhone. So what is it? Well, it's not actually one thing. It's not even 2 or 3 things. It's 8 different gifts. And we decided to give these gifts into 2 categories. First is written, second is live. In the first category, we wanted to give you the things that truly helped us with what we know today. So we prepared 5 different ebooks. But since we know reading books requires a lot of effort, especially 5 or 6, we purposefully chose ebooks that focus on assignments and practical lessons. So we got our assumption workbook. This is based on the teachings of Neville Goddard. This is an all-in-one workbook, which has everything you need. It'll be the best and the last manifestation tool you will ever use. We purposely chose this ebook because it gives you practical help and exercises to discover what you want and put you on the path to achieve it. It removes doubts and guides you forward. The next is the flow state workbook. This is where you connect with unlimited abundance instantly. And we chose this because it helps you understand how to reach a flow state where you're fully focused and performing at your best. It gives you practical tools and exercises to enter that state more often and remove distractions and guide you toward consistent progress. Third, the Power of Awareness workbook. This is a book from Neville Goddard. The first 2 books were more about exercises, but this one's incredible. There is someone on school making over $48,000 per month just by teaching what is in this book. In it, you'll find the secrets to truly understanding. You'll find the secrets to truly understanding what you want in life, using your desires correctly and directing them toward your goals. And those are the ebooks that have helped us a lot. We have 2 extra secret books. 2 books that we've never revealed or given to anybody. And the only way to claim them is by joining this live. So your guys are going to get them. So if you're seeing this, congrats. Secret book 1 is my book, Creating a Successful Mindset. This guide took a long time. It was made to help you to develop the mindset you need to achieve personal success with actual practical steps, guided exercises, and real-life examples. You'll learn how to think, act, and grow like successful people you look up to. Secret book 2 is my brother's book, Fitness Psychology. This guide took even longer to put together, and for good reason. It's built to show you that fitness starts in the mind. Inside, you'll learn how to build the mindset needed to hit your goals, whether that means losing fat, packing on muscle, or boosting endurance. You'll see exactly what's worked for me, my brother, how to stay motivated and push through the toughest days. As I said, these are the 2 books that you won't find anywhere else. We never released them anywhere, and we won't. The only way you get access to them was by joining this live, so congrats. But the gifts aren't done. Not only will you get these 5 amazing books to help you out, this is the first part, the written one. Now let me show you the live section. We were originally planning to make these a paid group only exclusive, but since we promised you guys a great gift, we decided to give it to you. We originally put together 2 exclusive live trainings where we're going to teach you how to receive Jesus' greatest gifts and how to get ready for your sports season. So let's recap. You get our 3 favorite ebooks, 2 secret ebooks we've never released before, and 2 exclusive 1-hour live trainings. Do you guys believe we delivered on our promise? And we'll see. And then we have a secret gift as well. Yes. Looks like everyone's pretty pumped. You guys get a lot of free gifts so you can start on your journey. And this is a better gym than a gym membership and less than an iPhone. And we will send you the link to the access everything after the live is done. But don't just wait for that, because we still have a lot to go over, especially because the green pill doesn't end in this live. And I'm sure you all know that you can't change your life by just watching this live, right? It can help you get there, but not everything. You need to work on improving yourself every day, and after months or even years, you will achieve what you want. We started to realize that it was never going to be enough to create the positive impact we wanted to have. So we had to create something you could use every day throughout your journey, something that included everything my brother and I know. And we might as well make it incredible. This is why I worked on this part of the project for so long, and now it's finally done, ready for you. Do you guys mind if we share it? You guys ready for this? This is something we've been working on for a long time. Let me know if you guys want to share it. Let's go. Yep. All right. Perfect. I didn't have anything ready in case you said no anyways. So for you guys who said no, you're wrong. I don't care. When we started this, we asked ourselves, how can we make it easy as possible for someone to start? We tried giving more knowledge, more content, a free community, and host some live sessions here and there. But in this giant mess of the internet, we would just get lost or mixed up with other things. So we needed a place to organize it and get your feedback in order to constantly improve it for you. That's why we originally created the Aesthetic Athlete Academy. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. And it worked incredibly well. People are getting great results, even more than we actually expected. Like, who only after 2 weeks already improved his cardio, was able to perform better for his sport in just 2 weeks. So is a Muay Thai fighter. Or like Justin, he was really struggling with nutrition. With our help, he finally understands how it works, how to use it to his advantage. Or even Taylor, he went from being overwhelmed by endless fitness advice online to finally finding clarity and knowing exactly what works. But that only covered one of the things we wanted to solve. How can we make it as easy as possible for someone to start? So we broke it down to see what someone needs to start their journey in improving themselves. Basic knowledge, equipment material, motivation, or a reason to start, and a gym membership. Do you think that's enough for someone to start? And thank you for the super chat. I'll be able to answer that here in a second, but I'm almost done with this, I promise. Do you guys think that's enough for someone to start? All these things. Yes. So good mental health and faith is for basic knowledge, right? And if you say no, I don't know what else you need, to be honest. Anyways, so we decided to rebrand it and we modified it to cover everything you need to get started, starting from the knowledge. There are so many people who claim they'll teach you the best way to train. That is why we did not just want to have a few videos about how to start and general guides on how to train. We decided to make it as actionable as possible so that you can simply search for what you need and get answers to all your questions. In order to make this happen, we added written workouts for all the most popular training splits. This includes full body, upper lower, push-pull legs, upper lower, push-pull legs, everything. Training plans for different goals as well. So if you're focused on becoming a better athlete, muscle building, strength, endurance, power, and more. And then people are saying LAD. I'm sorry. I swear I turned them off. I must have not. Anyways, exercises for every muscle group, the best ones, the ones that truly work, and also ones that are not the lazy bodybuilder ones. A system where you only need to send us a video of you doing an exercise. We will review it and give you feedback. And the option to ask us questions at any time. Those are the same works that helped Zach before joining. He never understood how the body was truly meant to exercise or how to go into the deeper side of life. Now he's training smarter, feeling more rewarded, and even working on his mind and spirit. Like I said, there's nothing about if you train harder, you get better at training, but also developing your mind and spirit. Or Vincent. I've known, this is one of my best friends from middle school. He used to be fat. He used to be super fat. I'll just be honest. And he lost over 100 pounds. He built muscle. And more importantly, he's growing stronger in his faith, and he turned his life to Jesus. Or Anthony, he was always known as the chubby kid, and he felt stuck in a cycle of trying and giving up. With our help, he lost over 40 pounds, built strength and speed, and now steps onto the soccer field with energy and confidence. So this solves the first problem, basic knowledge. How about the rest? Since this is knowledge we gained through years and years of studies, and we spent months putting it all together for you in the best way for you, we got your feedback, rebuilt the course from scratch, and created an even better version based on what you needed over and over again. So as we put all these efforts into this, and it cost a lot of time and money to gain the knowledge to put it together, and it gave people amazing results, where we were considering pricing it at $299. That's too much. I know that. But we decided that we didn't want this just to be another expensive course. So we decided to lower the price. How much do you think we lowered it to? I said $299 is too much. How much do you think we lowered it to? $267. $267 is a specific number. Free, $149, $70, $99, $97, $50. Everyone's going crazy. $6.70. Well, it's not $299, nor is it $199. It's $99. Actually, no, not even $99. It's 100% free. So you're going to get nutrition and training plans for free. And that's just the first one done. That's just basic knowledge and training. How about the second one? Equipment and material. So equipment and material. Equipment is one of the most important things for anyone who trains, no matter their goal or their training style. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry for a reason, and it's getting more expensive every single day. This is why we decided to counter it by giving you a discount on what we believe is the most important equipment in the training, or for training in the beginning. So we got our gym bundle, which is priced at $124, but it's a secret. So in the gym bundle, you're going to get a gym bag, a belt for dips and pull-ups, straps, which again is only meant for deadlifts, and a water bottle. And we worked really hard to get a 10% discount. We did 20%, 30% for you? No. 40? Not even 40. 50% discount? No. Unfortunately, we could not secure any of these discounts. So we decided to take matters into our own hands. We worked hard and secured a personalized discount for you. How much do you think we managed to get a discount for off of all this stuff? All this stuff. Let me go back to all this stuff. That's going to take too long to get to, but 100% discount, 80% discount, 100, 100, 100%, 67%, 70, 100%, Well, you're all wrong. There is no discount because it's free. That's right. Every single person who joins will receive the gym bundle completely for free. So it was $124 and it's free. And we're covering shipping. So you get the nutrition and training plan for free, the gym bundle for free, and now we solved the equipment as well. So there's pretty much only a couple things left you need, and we're not done yet. We still need to cover motivation. One interesting thing we discovered that the more active someone is in the group, the less they're likely they're going to quit or slack off their training. There are many reasons for that, but one of the most interesting is that the more you write or talk about something, the more obsessed you become with it, which might help you stay consistent when you have a lot of work, exams, or other life problems. That makes it much easier for you to stay consistent with your training. On top of that, when you hear or read other people talking about training, it helps you stay accountable with your own training. That's why we're making it as easy as possible to interact with others inside the group, which is why I decided to add the #1 bonus for motivation. Weekly group calls with us on Zoom. Every week, you'll be able to join a group call with me and my brother where you can ask us any questions you want, and we will help you out. So you get the nutrition and training plans for free, the gym bundle for free, weekly calls for free, but we didn't think this was enough, so we decided to take it one step further. On top of all this, every single month, we're going to give away $300 worth of stuff, but not randomly. This is all designed to encourage you to keep training and stay consistent, even when life gets in the way. Since we know that the more active someone is in the group, the more likely they're going to stay in their training schedule, we will give $300 worth of stuff between equipment, free membership, personalized training, and nutrition plans. That sums up around $291 worth of giveaways. Do you mind if we keep the $9 of change? I think you don't really care. So you get nutrition and training plan for free, gym bundle for free, weekly calls for free, the monthly giveaways for free, and that brings us to the last one. How much does your gym membership cost? I think we can all agree that a gym membership is the most fundamental requirement to go to the gym, but it is fairly pricey. The average gym membership is $50 per month. That's $600 per year. So this is a problem we spend the most time thinking about. How can we remove the problem of a gym membership? It seems impossible. So we obviously don't own a gym, nor are we big entrepreneurs where we make multi-billion-dollar deals with billion-dollar gyms. And since each of you goes to different types and brands of gyms, we cannot secure a discount for all of them. And it seems really impossible, right? Well, you're right. It is impossible. But not with God on your side. What if I told you that we found a way to get your gym membership not at 10% discount, 20, 30, 40, not any of those, because we made it 100% free? How much is this worth to you guys? All this free stuff. Because that's the last part of our offer. Everyone gets their gym membership completely for free. Simply put, when you join, we contact you, and every month we send you back your membership fee up to $50 per month. We cap it at $50 to prevent people from exploiting this and joining like a lifetime. So you get the nutrition and training plan for free, gym bundle for free, weekly calls for free, monthly giveaways for free, and a gym membership for free. I know this is pretty crazy. With all of this, we finally completed a full rebrand of the Aesthetic Athlete Academy. And after thinking about all the amazing things we wanted to give, one very important question came up. How do we price this? At first, we thought about all the value we're giving, the stuff we're giving, the effort we put, all the time we spent, how to send you the gym bundle, how to actually pay for your gym membership. If you were in our shoes, how much would you price this for? Many of you guys said $200, something like that. Because our first idea was $350. And it would make sense because of all the free stuff you're getting, just with the gym membership alone and the monthly giveaways. That would be around $350 per month, without considering the nutrition and training plans, the weekly Zoom calls, the gym bundle, and even $350 per month would make sense. But we wanted to make a crazier offer. We wanted to make this available for everyone, which is why it won't cost $350 per month, but $250 per month. That's just the monthly giveaways, paying for the membership, and paying for the gym bundle. We already saved you hundreds of dollars, which is exactly why it won't be $250 per month, actually. It will be $97 per month. But there's only one catch with this. The offer is too complicated to manage and run. It's too expensive. And that's why we can only make it available for today only. So just for $97 a month, you get the nutrition and training plans for free, the gym bundle for free, the weekly calls for free, monthly giveaways for free, the gym membership for free. And you can get all of this at school.com/pill. Again, this only lasts for today at school.com/pill. I just put it in the chat here. So again, only lasts for today. And just to repeat one more time before we get our first guest on, nutrition and training plans for free, the gym bundle for free, the weekly calls for free, the monthly giveaways for free, and the gym membership for free when you join the Green Pill Project at school.com/pill. Again, this is on this, the link to that is pinned in the chat. And with that being said, I have our first guest here who I'm going to bring on. Here we go. What's up, Sean?
Gentlemen, how are we doing here?
Pretty good, pretty good. Sean, if you could do me a favor and tell everybody who you are, what your background is, so they can kind of get a glimpse of, your expertise and your background.
Yeah. So, well, it's good to see everybody here. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I actually love it. I admire it. I think it's awesome. My name is Sean Light. I am a chronic pain specialist. I'm based out of New York City, but my background is exclusively in professional sports. I got my first job years and years ago was as a strength coach with the New York Yankees. I went after my time with the Yankees, I went out to Arizona to become a strength and conditioning coach with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then finally, the crown jewel of my professional sports career was as a strength and conditioning coach for the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA.
That's crazy. Any players you remember from the Lakers there? Any funny stories with any of them?
Man, where to begin, man? I mean, so on our team, so I will say, despite having one of the coolest jobs of all time, I was actually there at one of the worst possible times. I was at the year after Kobe retired and just before LeBron. So we didn't have any of the two big dogs, but we did have guys like Meta World Peace, Ron Artest, Nick Young, Swaggy P, some of you may know as. Brandon Ingram was a rookie on the team. Ivica Zubac, who's with starting center for the Clippers for many years now. Julius Randle, I think he's with the Timberwolves now. We had a really nice young core. D'Angelo Russell was another one of the guys that we had. Funny stories, man. I mean, we had all sorts, man. And I think that's probably one of the things that I'd be interested in chatting a little bit more about. But it's just the way that these guys act on a day-to-day basis. It's really cool to have the opportunity to not only see how these guys are inside of the weight room and while they're training, but at the hotel, at team dinners, and at breakfasts, and even in just the downtimes while we're traveling on the road. It's cool to get a window into how these people actually operate, how they prepare for sport at that level, and it was surprising. It was a lot different than I had anticipated.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know my brother told me a little bit about like Swaggy P. I remember he told me a story that you told him about that. So that's amazing that you did that. And you said the Diamondbacks, the Yankees, so you got some pretty big teams on there.
Yeah.
With that being said, Sean, you have a presentation, correct?
Yeah, so I'm going to share some stuff with you guys. If you're ready, Mario, I'll take it away.
Yeah, go ahead. So, guys, this is if you weren't here already, this is Sean. Used to be a strength and conditioning coach for the Lakers, Diamondbacks, and Yankees, and he's got a crazy presentation for you guys. So give him a great welcome, and Sean, take it away.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do here today, and first of all, I'll say I want to open with this. So I don't do presentations all that often. I used to do them a lot. And I really have two very strict requirements for why I would do a presentation for anybody or volunteer my time here to do this. And number one is I've got to admire the people who are hosting it. I've got to have full faith that I'm working with some good people here, and I've got to trust the product. I've got to trust who they are. I've got to trust the work that they've done behind the scenes to produce something that is worthwhile. I can say firsthand how much legwork over the past, better part of a year now. I can say firsthand with experience how much effort this duo here is putting on to give you guys something outstanding. And there are far too many charlatans in this world and in this business that are making claim over promising and under delivering. And I just wanted to come out of the gate and say that I appreciate both of you guys and for what you're doing. And I admire it. And I think that it's pretty cool to do it. And that's truthfully why I am here. That being said, what I'd like to do for each one of you is shed a little light on what it takes to get it to the highest level of sport. I was a kid when I was in 6th grade. Man, the only thing that I wanted to do was make it to the NBA. And I tried like crazy. And what was really interesting to me was like most people, I sat in a basketball camp. I was, whatever that is, 6th grade, 11 years old. And there was going to be a lecture that day, much like we're doing here today. And the lecture's topic was going to be, how do you make it to the NBA? Now, as a 11-year-old with Shaq as my idol and Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan, these guys were gods to me. And I wanted to one day play in the NBA. So I leaned in a little bit closer and I was ready to hear what this coach had to say. And he said that if you wanted to make it to the NBA, you had to train harder than everybody else. He said a quote that when you're not training, somebody else is. And that really hit hard with me. I was thinking about the kid out in Texas who's training while I'm sleeping or playing video games. And the coach said, if your friends call you up to play video games, you can't go play video games. You have to go out and do your drills. When your friends call you up to go to the movies, you can't. This is back when people went to the movies. That's correct. I'm really aging myself on these. But if your friends call you up to go to the movies, you can't go to the movies. You got to go outside and do your drills. And I really took that to heart. And for from 6th grade all the way through college, I was, training as hard as I could. I was training harder, longer, faster, more volume, more intensity than anybody. When practice was over, I thought the work counted double. And I really, I was putting in everything. I was doing everything that I was told to make it to that level. Obviously, at the end of my basketball career after college, I didn't make it to the NBA, but fast forward to 2016, I was hired to be a strength and conditioning coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I got a front row view of what it was that it actually took to play at that level. And what I saw was surprising to me because it was completely different than anything I had heard or witnessed or had expected to see in the past. So the interesting thing about working with professional athletes is that these guys are already at the highest possible level. They already run faster than anybody else. They already jump higher than anyone else. They're already stronger than anyone else. They're already better basketball players than everyone else. They're already more athletic than anyone else. So in order for me to actually make them better, you're moving mountains. If for somebody who is not only at, nearing the limits of his own human capacity, but he's actually nearing the limits of actual human capacity, how much better can you actually make this person? And the answer is you can't make them all that much better. So in order to actually improve upon their athleticism and fulfill my job requirement of making them a better athlete, I had to know the body better than anybody else. I had to know all of the details, all of the ins and outs, all of the micro details about anatomy, about physiology, about the biomechanics and the kinesiology of all of the systems in order to make a measurable difference. And what I'm going to outline for you here today are the four, I call them the core four, the four systems of the body. And I like to take notes as I'm talking, keep me on track. I'm going to outline for you the four systems of the body that go into making an elite athlete. If you are able to master these four systems, then you will, in effect, unlock the genetic potential, the highest level of athleticism, of performance that you yourself have available to you. I can't guarantee that it's going to make you an NBA player, but it's going to unlock every piece of talent that you can possibly unlock in an individual. And there are four of those levels. The first level is posture and breathing. Posture and breathing. Here's what you have to know about posture and breathing. You are going to breathe roughly 22,000 times every single day. And the act of respiration is a mechanical process. It is a muscular process, meaning that your muscles are going to be involved in the process of making that happen. Unlike what the processes that are happening in the brain, there's no actual muscle that are making those neurons fire. The downstream effect of that is the muscles firing. Okay. So every time that you inhale, the diaphragm of the body, it descends, it goes down. The diaphragm is a muscle. So if this is your rib cage, the diaphragm is on top and it descends on that inhalation. It ascends on that exhalation, and it's pulling on its attachment side on the diaphragm. Now, if you're going to breathe 22,000 times every single day, this is the muscular activity, aside from beating your heart, this is the muscular activity that you are going to do the most. All right. And it, just like the beating of your heart, just like the processes of your brain, breathing, respiration is so prioritized in the body because it is directly tied at the most fundamental level to your survival. So it's going to prioritize the act of respiration. Thus, if your breathing is not optimized, nothing else downstream of it can, right? So the core of the human body, the core of movement, the core of performance is your ability to maintain quality respiratory breathing mechanics. Those good mechanics come down to one simple thing. Can you take your ribs and position them directly over the pelvis? All right. So if I'm here, are my ribs directly over my pelvis? What many of you will notice, particularly while you're exercising, is that you lose that position. Your pelvis rolls forward and your ribs arch back. As soon as you get into that position, you've lost what we call the zone of apposition. Don't worry about the fancy title. Worry about the fact that your ribs are no longer stacked on top of your pelvis. The moment that occurs, you will lose 40%, if not more, of the performance capacity that you have. So when you're exercising, when you're going through these programs that these guys are going to take you through, your ribs need to stay on top of the pelvis. I always say that the mortal sin of training is arching your back. And if you're able to maintain this, now you're going to have the opportunity to build on top of that. The best athletes that I have ever worked with, they are able to maintain that zone, the ribs right on top of the pelvis, through an entire NBA game, through an entire NBA season, through immense demands, through LeBron James jamming and pulling and prodding and running through them. The zone is always protected because they've built and trained themselves around that. So as a recap, the number one thing that you have to make sure you have to hold dear, it is sacred to the human body, is the zone of your ribs being stacked right on top of your pelvis. That in the core 4 is zone number 1. The second zone is strength. If you have the zone perfectly situated, ribs right on top of the pelvis, now you must be strong enough to maintain that. So imagine that you are, I think a good example was when I worked in baseball. So if a pitcher is standing on the mound and he's going through his windup, he is going to load his back leg, and as hard as he possibly can, he is going to drive off that back leg and try to, throw whatever pitch that he's throwing. But he's putting an immense amount of force into his system. If during that forceful output, he loses that zone, right? Because that's the core. That's the thing we cannot afford to lose. Then he will lose velocity. He will lose control, which is unacceptable losses for a pitcher. So what he needs to be able to do is his muscles need to be strong enough to be able to hold him in place while he's going through that process. For an NBA player, he's got to be strong enough to be able to take a hip check from LeBron. He's got to be able to drive to the basket, collect the foul, still finish the layup without losing the zone. Remember, the zone is where all of your power exists. You cannot lose it. Never sacrifice the zone for a couple extra pounds or a couple extra reps inside of the gym. We can't lose that. That's the thing. So we've got to be able to be strong around that. The best places for you to train in order to produce strength around that is your hamstrings and your abdominal obliques. Not necessarily your six-pack muscle, but your obliques, because they have a bigger attachment site on the rib cage and the pelvis. The hamstrings are going to anchor the pelvis down from the back. So if you were to come to my gym and I was going to train you to become an NBA player, we would focus aggressively and almost exclusively on hamstrings and obliques. Hamstrings and obliques. And if we're able to produce adequate strength in those two areas, then we're going to be able to sufficiently hold that zone together. So now, as a recap, now we've produced the zone. The ribs are right on top of the pelvis. Remember, that's where all of your power, all of your biomechanics, all of your efficiency, all of your metabolic efficiency, all of that is going to stem from your ability to keep that zone. The next level is, are you strong enough to maintain that under duress? The fourth element of it is, are you able to hold it for long enough? It's one thing to be able to do it through one pitch in a baseball game. It's another thing to be able to do it over the course of 8 innings, over the course of 9 innings, right? For a lot of the chronic pain people that we see, we're able to get them results in an hour, in 45 minutes. But what happens after they've worked all day from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the evening? What if they're going longer than that? Will the muscles hold for you to maintain the integrity of that zone all day long? A great example of that is my brother. My brother's a former pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. And when he was drafted back in 2012, he was drafted as a starting pitcher, and his job was to go 7, 8, or 9 innings. And that type of training requires something completely different, because now I know that I've got to make his hamstrings, his obliques, all of his glutes and the different muscles that contribute to the pitching mechanic. I've got to make sure that those are strong enough and able to last over the course of 7, 8, 9 innings, which is going to take 2 to 3 to potentially even 4 hours of time. About 2 years into his baseball career, they transitioned him to a back-end closer in the bullpen, which meant that he was probably going to pitch no more than 15 pitches in a game, 1 inning, maybe a second. That meant that we were able to maximize his power and not necessarily need him to last all of that time. And so that dictated a different type of training for that person. So what you've got to look at it, whoever you're training, if you're training yourself, if you're training one of your athletes, how long do you need this adaptation to last? How long, not only in a one game, but how long is the season? And all of those things need to be considered as you go through the process. So you're looking there at training the aerobic system, You're looking there at training the anaerobic system, and you're looking to train the different anaerobic and aerobic qualities of those muscles. So for those of you out there who don't like to condition, who don't like doing the cardio, in terms of athleticism, in terms of athletic performance, in terms of occupational performance, entrepreneurial performance, you simply cannot avoid the requirement and the benefit that exists from doing the proper types of cardiovascular conditioning activities. So here's what we have so far. We've got the zone. We've got the zone. The ribs perfectly stacked on top of the pelvis. This is where all the benefit comes from and your ability to maintain that stack. Okay. The next step further is, are you able to do that? Are you able to maintain that under duress? If you were to go through, if you're lifting, if you're squatting, if you're hang cleaning, if you're playing basketball, if you're playing soccer, through all of the gyrations that exist in sport, are you able to maintain that, or do you come out of that proper stack in order to execute certain movements? We can never lose the stack. All of the NBA players and professional baseball players, the guys who threw the hardest in baseball, the fastest runners, the highest jumpers, all of those people were able to maintain the stack. That's what we've got to get. The next element is energy production. Are you able to maintain it long enough? It's one thing to be able to do it in the first quarter. It's one thing to be able to do it in the first inning. But are you able to maintain that over the course of a 2-hour game, a 3-hour game? Are you able to maintain that over the course of an entire workday? We've got to be able to check all 3 of those boxes. And that brings me to the final element of them all. When I was playing basketball back in high school and college, one of the things that I noticed was that on certain days, I was able to dunk way better than other days. And I never really understood why. I never really understood what led to the days that I was able to dunk and jump significantly higher. But every once in a while, I'd be out there in practice, and all of a sudden, like, I feel like I'm flying above the rim. While on other days, I felt like I was barely able to dunk. And when I became a strength and conditioning coach, I wanted to figure out why that was. And what I uncovered was that the brain acts as somewhat of an emergency brake when it comes to your performance and output levels. Okay. If you can imagine driving in your car, and those of you who drive, you've probably had this experience where you're driving for a little bit, you're just starting, and something is acting a little bit funny in the car. You can't quite put your finger on what it is. And then, a mile or 2 down the road, you realize that your emergency brake is on. You pop the brake, and all of a sudden it's working up to standard. Right now, it's got a good giddy up off the line. It's accelerating the way it should. It's braking the way that it should, because there's no longer that governor on the car. The brain does the same thing for your body. If the brain is perceiving threat, if it's perceiving danger in your environment, it's going to throttle the performance output. It's going to put, in essence, the emergency brake on what you're able to produce. So if you're able to jump 40 inches on one day, the next day with the emergency brake on, you're only going to be able to jump, say, 35 or 33. It's going to govern you to some degree. And that's because it's taking away some of that output in order to protect you. So the brain, the central nervous system element, needs to perceive safety in its world and in its environment in order to allow you to have the full capacity of what you're able to do. When I think about professional athletes, one of the skills that they had that I never had as an athlete, and so many athletes don't have, is that they could stand in front of 50,000 people and not get nervous, right? And so if you're able to stand out in front of 50,000 people and not get nervous, you can be the athlete you've trained to be. But if you're training all summer long and then you step out on the court in front of all those people with all of that pressure, and now you tense up and you freeze and performance anxiety spikes, the brain perceives that as danger and it locks you up. So all of the power and athleticism and skill that you've trained for is no longer available to you in that moment. So what we had to find a way to do was we had to find a way to ensure that not only was the core stack intact. Not only were you strong enough to be able to do it, not only were you trained and conditioned enough to allow for that to occur and maintain over the course of a game, but we also had to make sure that the central nervous system was unlocked so that it didn't prevent you from accessing all of your talent. And that, my friends, is the core four: posture and breathing, the stack, ribs stacked on top of the pelvis. Strength, are you able to hold that under duress? Energy, are you able to hold that stack long enough? And lastly, is the brain allowing you to have access to all of the trained qualities that you've worked so hard to acquire? And if you can master all four of those performance elements, you will also be able to unlock your entire genetic maximum potential. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys here today. So thank you to you guys. I'll take a couple questions if there are any out there in the audience or from the hosts. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share my life's work with you guys. I hope you learned something.
Man, that's crazy, because like when people think of strength and conditioning, they never think posture. They think, just being explosive. And my brothers obviously told me a lot about, like, having everything stacked. Everyone's an extension. It's just crazy how that affects everything in terms of performance.
Sure. Absolutely, my friend.
All right. So if anyone's got any questions, people are just talking about how you just preached and your knowledge is crazy.
Yeah.
So I think there was a couple questions, if I can find anybody. Someone did ask, what do you think about med ball throws? They said for core, but I'm assuming they're talking about core power. Do you have any thoughts on med ball throws? And you just take that question away.
Yeah. So I think most exercises are okay, right? I think that you've got to be a little careful in the social media generation because novelty plays, right? These new unique exercises is what's going to drive the algorithms. If you're really looking at it, if you come here to where we work, everything is remarkably simple. We're not doing anything. We stick to the basics. And med ball throws are part of it. But again, what it all comes down to is the stack. So that stack, your ability, there's a pelvic diaphragm that sits under here, and then there's a thoracic diaphragm that's right under that, and it acts as a piston mechanism, right? And so if you've ever seen these guys who are kind of skinny but can jump like 48 inches in the air, and people might say that it has to do with their calves or elasticity of the muscle, which of course matters to some degree, but what it is that they've got this piston operating mechanism that is able to pump like crazy when they're trying to get in and out of extension, in and out of power. So when they drop down, it's perfectly situated for a recoil back up, right? So a med ball throw is awesome, right? Under the right circumstance. If you're just wailing a med ball against the wall, who knows if you're going to be able to do it? What I can say emphatically 100% true is that the guys who have made it to the highest level of sport, the one unique quality that they have, aside from being freakishly talented, is the fact that somehow they have been able to get to 25, 30 years old and just keep that core perfectly intact. So if I were you, if I'm anybody, I am being as meticulous as I can be, despite it being a pretty tedious and maybe a less enjoyable way to work out. If I'm working out my son, I am making sure, come hell or high water, that stack exists. And any exercise that they do is preserving the integrity of that. And then any power that I'm trying to train is also preserving it, right? We don't want to lose it while we're explosive. Otherwise, we're just skimming off of the top of what we're able to do. And if you want to get all the way to the top, you can't skim anything because those guys are so damn good.
Got that. That's amazing advice. My brother Martin wants to ask you a quick question, and then I'll answer the most common question that I'm getting.
Okay.
So Martin, you can go ahead and ask.
All right, what's up, Sean?
There he is, Martin. What's happening, brother?
Yeah, I just been in the back room, or was it backstage, or whatever the thing's called. But
yeah,
I wanted to ask you, because I've mentioned this on my YouTube channel, that I have like an asymmetrical posture issue,
Yeah.
And I was just curious because I remember I talked to you about this, how you rehab people with those postural issues, but you also apply those fundamentals and those principles with athletes. So I kind of wanted to get your idea, or I kind of know about it a little bit, but I figured it'd be great for you to talk about how the asymmetries of the body impact how you train athletes and the importance of that and respecting those asymmetries for training athletes as well.
Yeah. So yeah, no doubt one of the challenges, and this is one of the reasons that, I took those 2 minutes early in my presentation to commend the work that you two guys have done, is because I know how hard it is to find good quality training, and you guys go out there, you ask any trainer. I mean, you could probably ask 1,000 trainers and get 1,000 never heard of it. There are asymmetries, anatomical asymmetries with your organs that exist that are having a profound effect on your ability to move, and nobody knows about it. I mean, it sounds like a sales technique to say that there's secrets to the human body. Now, these are like real secrets. Like nobody knows this.
Yeah, I didn't know about it.
It's genuinely crazy. So if you find the fact that anybody, if you find somebody who knows this, there's no other way for them to have found out than to have done like a ridiculous amount of research. So that's a keeper, right? And that's really why I recommend these guys, because I know that they know this. I know that they're asking these questions. So that's for starters. Yeah, but when you look at the anatomy of the human body, the first thing, the most important thing is that the human diaphragm, okay? And the diaphragm, if this is my rib cage right here, pull it out, sits right here. The diaphragm sits right on top, right in the middle. It's like right here, okay? The right side of the diaphragm is way bigger than the left side of the diaphragm. It's way more muscular. It sits way further back. It's got much bigger and thicker and more volume and actually more attachment sites on the spine. It sits on top of the liver on the right side. It sits lower because the heart is depressing it on the left. So we've got this asymmetrical nature to what's happening with our diaphragm inside of the body. Now, ordinarily, whatever, you could look at that and say, like, that's weird. It doesn't really matter. But if you remember back to earlier on in the presentation, we said that you're going to breathe 22,000 times a day, starting with that diaphragm. And if you're taking 22,000 breaths per day with that diaphragm that's asymmetrical and biasing you towards the right side, you're going to twist ever so slightly to the right side every single time. That's 22,000 times a day. If you're training, if you're playing basketball, it's going to be 30,000, 35,000, 40,000 times every single day. I'm 38 years old. Over the 22,000 times 38, 365 times 38. I mean, that's millions of reps going to that one side. Imagine that I did 38 or 22,000 bicep curls with just my right arm every single day. I'd look up a little lopsided, right? That thing is literally occurring under the surface in your diaphragm every single day. So what happens is you get into this position where the right side of the body becomes incredibly tonic, turned on, and the left side is the opposite. It won't turn on. It won't turn on at all. So now you're in a position where the right side's on, the left side is off, and even when you try to get over to that left side, the right side is so turned on that it still won't pop. It still won't let you get over to that left side. So our evaluation process, one of the things that we're looking for is how deep into that asymmetrical pattern are you? When I was working with pitchers, I get this question a lot: who are the best athletes that you've ever worked with? And it was always like the big burly pitchers that could throw 105 miles an hour. And for whatever reason, they stand up tall on the mound on that right foot, and then they're able to drive off of it and get from right stance into left stance because they've preserved that mechanic. They have the ability to shift from the right to the left. If I watch the Little League World Series with the little kids who are playing, I see they can't get over on that left side, right? And that's that asymmetrical natural. It's anatomical. It's across the board. We've all got it. I've got it. Martine's got it. Mario's got it. We've all got it. Everybody in this chat's got it. And if you are unable to overcome that asymmetry, then you're running the risk of operating on only 50% of your body. So if I'm training somebody, there's a really good chance that there's exercises that we do just on the left side or just on the right side, or a muscle we want to hit on the right, but not on the left, and vice versa, because we've got to make sure that you have good mechanics. And good mechanics is I can step on my right, my left side's off. Then I can step on my left and my right side turns off. And I can be able to fluctuate through that, right? If I'm a golfer, I can swing all the way back, load my back leg, rotate all the way through and load that front leg and seamlessly be able to do that. If you can't do that, you're going to lose power. You're going to hook out to the right. That's why I don't play golf, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't maintain that mechanic. But that's the asymmetrical deal, and the asymmetry is all over the body, guys. We're just scratching the surface here.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
think that's super fascinating. But yeah, you can go ahead, Ito.
Yeah. The most common question, this will be the last one. People want to know what is the. Let me find the question. How do you know if you're maintaining the stack correctly, or how do you know that you're making progress in maintaining the stack?
So I'd say the easy answer is never arch your back. When you arch your back inside of the gym, you to me, it's the mortal sin. You're sacrificing, you're compensating here somehow. It will skim off some power, will skim off some reps, but those are DQ'd reps anyway. You shouldn't even be doing them. The best way for you to know is, are you able to feel airflow in all 4 chambers of your rib cage? That is your front left, front right, back left, and back right. If you are not properly stacked, you're not going to be able to feel good airflow. And it's got to be good airflow. It can't be like, I can kind of feel that. I should be able to breathe in and pop that left back out. Breathe in and pop that right front out, right? And so all of those chambers need to be able to have that access. Otherwise, the airflow is going to have to go somewhere else, because you got to get the air in. And that is, to me, probably the best way for you to truly see it. If I'm you, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, where am I feeling the air go? Most of you are going to feel right back, left front, right? Because that's within that asymmetrical pattern. Most of you will have the hardest time getting right front and an even harder time getting left back, right? If you're able to get those, particularly that second double, right, the right front and left back, that probably means that you're able to hold it pretty well and you've got sufficient strength to maintain it. So are you able to get 360-degree expansion in all 4 of those rib cage chambers?
Yeah, I've been looking at videos of me, like, before I started working with you, lifting weights, and like some of the time I'm like arching my back so much. It's like hard for me to look at that now. But like now that I work with you, I'm like, I gotta start like making sure that like I maintain that stack. So
yeah, man, it's everything.
Yeah, because there's so many people online now who like they'll promote like the stretch of the muscle because apparently it's better for hypertrophy. But what they'll do is they'll arch so much, and I'm just like, oh, now after I worked with you, I'm just like, that's just so bad. But
yeah, I mean, look, so like bodybuilders do that, right? And if you want to get huge, by all means, arch away, right? I think you'll still end up seeing me with lower back pain eventually, and so God bless you. I'm happy to come see. I'll give you the address. But in terms of performance, in terms of good biomechanics. Like, imagine a big jacked bodybuilder swinging a golf club. Can't do it, right? It's every single one of you is imagining this big stiff hunk of meat, trying to chop at this golf ball, and he can't do it. It's ugly, right? And that's because he's lost the biomechanics of the body. He's sacrificed it in order to gain size. And look, we all make our decisions, but there is a letter of the law here of how this physical body is supposed to operate.
Yeah, I think there's one more question that's like actually really good. I feel like you could probably give good insight on.
Cool.
Marco asked if he said that I know this topic is mostly for athletic performance, but would you say this type of training is also good for longevity? What would your recommendations be for people who want to keep training for health?
Great question. Nice way to grab that one, Martine. That was a good one. Okay, so yes. I am speaking through the lens of sport performance, but there's something that you have to understand about that. When we're looking at the body of a professional athlete, we're assessing it, right? And we're trying to strive to achieve that level of biomechanic. The professional athlete is the person whose body is working the best out of anybody, right? They are the person who is able to get the most out of the human body, right? So in essence, as we're all training, as people at all the gyms, across the world, as each person in this chat is striving to become healthier or have a higher level of performance or get stronger or whatever it is, like what we're really saying is we're saying we want to get the most out of my physical body, right? If you're saying longevity, I mean, you're saying that to a T. I'm trying to get the longest runway of the physical body. The minute I get out of that stack, the minute I get out of quality biomechanics, my brain is going to recognize that as a stressful state. This is suboptimal, right? So now the body's got to work a little bit harder in order to operate in this suboptimal level. So what I want you to understand when you bring up longevity, specifics to health, is there really is no different, right? Like when we talk about athletics, you might be thinking like a higher level of intensity of training, but that's just because they're more committed to getting more out of their body. Some of these athletes, it's their job. I'm working with an NFL linebacker right now, and this guy is like as dialed in as you could possibly be on every little detail of his body. That's because he's getting paid a crap load of money to make sure that body's working really well. So on Sundays, he can get out there and do what he's got to do, right? And so for somebody who's concerned with longevity or maybe not in the athletic sphere, they're not as motivated to get every little detail correct, but it's still the same pathway. It's just how dedicated and committed are you to maximizing what you're getting out of the body. And so when I sit up here and tell you, this is what it took to take an NBA player and unleash him entirely, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to no matter what your goal is. I'm saying the same thing. If you're trying to unleash it, I mean, brother, this is what you got to do. This is the game. No matter if you're in the NBA or you're an accountant, that's the game. That's how you do it. So truthfully, there's no difference. It's just we're optimizing the human body, and that's what longevity is all about.
All right. Well, appreciate that, Sean. You just provided a bunch of knowledge to everybody. So definitely hope everyone took notes, but you can definitely look back at the stream if you need to. I think I talk on behalf of me and my brother where we say thank you for hopping on the stream and giving that presentation.
Absolutely, guys. An absolute pleasure. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my wisdom.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have questions, but Sean's a busy guy. We got another guest ready to come on. So, but like my brother, very grateful for the insight. I'm definitely going to watch the stream back and see what you had to say. And
Sweet.
Very grateful for all the insight you provided. I know a lot of people get tons of value from it.
Keep doing great work, guys. I'm proud of you. And there's not enough of good coaches out there doing good work. So grateful to you both.
All right. Appreciate it, Sean. Thank you.
See you guys.
All right. Have a good one.
See ya.
All right. And that was our first guest. Now we have a second one because I know a lot of people are focused on growing their faith journey, getting closer with God. So a personal friend of mine named Braden is here on the stream. What's up, Braden?
Yo, what's up, boys?
Not much. I know that you're going to go he's got a great presentation for us. He'll go over exactly who he is, what his journey is, because I know a lot of you are looking for building a relationship with God and even finding a godly woman, which I know a lot of people are interested in based on my comments in my community. So Braden, whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen so we can get it up here and get ready to take some more notes. This guy's got just as much value as the previous guy.
Let's get it, boys. All right. Screen share here. Boom. I don't use StreamYard at all.
And then I'm going to take my brother. He's going to have to get removed here. And all right, here we go, guys. So pay attention, give Braden all your attention. He's got tons of value. If you want to build your faith, you want to get closer with God and become more of a godly man. So take it away, Braden.
Fire. Mario, can you see my screen all right?
My bad, I was muted for a second. Yep, your screen was on there, so just
okay.
Go ahead and,
okay, bet. Cool.
So when you hit present, I'll let you know when it's up. Go ahead and present. Yep, perfect. All right, go ahead.
All right. So I'm Braden Steckler. I could have yapped for 45 minutes about how to attract a godly woman, but that's not as important as how Jesus Christ came in and completely changed my life. So I'm going to be sharing my personal testimony with you boys today. Hopefully you get something out of this. And I feel like a lot of you are going to resonate with my story because it's very similar to a lot of young ex-degenerates out there. But yeah, I'm going to be telling you guys how I went from being a total degen in college to a disciple of Jesus. So My life growing up, I was raised in South Louisiana, which is a very Catholic part of the U.S. Obviously, I had a mom and a dad, and I also had a twin brother. And I didn't realize that Mario had a twin as well until hopping on here. So that's hilarious. But yeah, I have an identical twin, and we grew up in church. We would go there twice a week, but I never had a real relationship with Jesus. It was kind of just going through the motions and getting the sacraments and stuff. And every time I would jerk off, I would pray to God that he wouldn't throw me in hell. And that was about it. And I grew up in a very tough family situation. My parents were always under a lot of financial stress. Money was always tight. My parents were always arguing and fighting. Didn't really help that my dad was bipolar and my mom was an alcoholic, and would spend a lot of her time like popping anxiety pills and drinking alcohol. And it was just a very dysfunctional environment. My dad would take out a lot of his anger because of how tight money was on both my brother and I, and also our mom. And it was just really, really tough. I had a lot of stress, basically from the moment that my alarm would go off in the morning to the second that I would go to bed. I was just stressed out of my mind and always just overthinking everything and not doing too well. And I did not cope with the stress well at all. So many of you guys are going to relate to this, but I found myself stuck in this cycle in high school, especially where because I was kind of awkward already, I would oftentimes get rejected by both guys and women, especially whenever I got to high school. And that would cause me to go to things like just playing a bunch of video games, watching a horrendous amount of pornography, and then also stuffing my face with food. Like I would play video games for 4 or 5 hours a day. Whenever I'd get home from school, I'd also probably watch porn at least 8 to 10 times a day. And I was eating about 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day. So I was packing it on, and this was the result. So by my sophomore year of high school, I was over 300 pounds. Like I said, I was watching porn literally every chance that I could get because my brain was so fried, just dopamine all day. Zero friends, zero social life, and of course, zero attraction from women, if you guys couldn't guess that. And I was a loser. I hated my life, and my twin brother was in the exact same position as me. And that cycle continued for nearly all 4 years of high school. This was my life, just anxiety, stress, and coping all day with food and porn. And that was until my senior year. So I had this pivotal conversation with my brother where he pulls me aside and he's like, "Hey, dude, you ever get sick of being a fat, porn addicted loser? Like, are you okay with just like kind of sitting here and this just being our life for the rest of our life, just being fat and awkward and having no friends?" And he told me about this guy that he was watching on YouTube. I think his name was like Fat Meets Fire. And he had binged a bunch of his videos and got on this big motivational kick. Like, dude, I'm going to lose all this weight. And so he's looking at me, telling me he's going to start running and going to the gym and dieting and all this stuff. And he's like, "I'm going to lose the weight. I don't care if you come with me." And I decided to cope in that situation. I'm like, "Oh, dude, that's a waste of time. God created us to be fat. God, right?" Even though I had no relationship with God, I'm like, we're big boned. We got a bad metabolism. Like we were just made to be fat. Just be fat with me. And this is just our life. But he says, screw that. And he starts running. And I start to realize that he's actually making some progress. He's starting to lose some weight. I can tell he's starting to feel healthier and get in better shape. And I had this realization that if we ever meet any women in the future and they're faced with making a decision between going after me or my identical twin brother who is now jacked or in good shape, and I'm just a fat, ugly twin, they're going to go with him 10 out of 10 times. And so I was like, dude, I cannot allow that to happen. And that was enough internal motivation for me to decide to make a change as well. So my brother and I started running together the summer before going off to college. This would have been 2017. And within 5 to 6 months, we lost over 100 pounds each. And so definitely a drastic transformation, like body transformation in my life. My clothes were fitting better. I felt way more confident. And in the least cringy way possible, I became unrecognizable to the people that I went to high school with. And this was right in time for college, like I said. So freshman year of college, I realized that people are treating me completely differently. Like, not only are women staring at me for the first time in my life, men are also treating me with respect and walking up to me and introducing themselves and inviting me to stuff. And it was awesome. I started meeting a lot of new people and getting invited to a lot of new things. And I ended up joining a fraternity. But there was still a big problem that it took me a really long time to realize. And that was mentally, even though on the outside, I was now in better shape and I had a jawline and I wasn't obese. Like, mentally, I was still the same guy. I was still the same broken, fat, insecure, awkward guy in my mind. And to cope with my own insecurities, I decided to trade my binge eating addiction for a full-on sex addiction. So I become a full-on degenerate in college, and I try and fill that empty void inside of my heart with women, and thinking that if I had sex with more girls or slept with more people or raised the notches on my body count, somehow that would fulfill me. So I fell into that trap that a lot of guys fall into. I download all the dating apps. I start going to all the frat parties, going to the bars 5 or 6 nights a week, trying to hook up with as many women as I possibly can. And all throughout this entire period, I'm still heavily addicted to pornography. So I go from relationship to dating app to Match to one night stand. Like, that was my entire life in college. And I was a guy who had a new girl every single month. And I just bounced from broken relationship to broken relationship. They were all awful relationships. No God, no relationship with the Lord at all. Just drinking and partying and having premarital sex and developing all these soul ties with these random girls, only for them to cheat on me or lie to me or me cheat on them. And it would just fall apart over and over and over again. I'm just going through this cycle. And with many of these girls, like, if I'm being totally honest with you guys, there were a lot of times where I would be trying to get it on with these women. And because I was so heavily addicted to pornography, I could not even get my wiener up. And these girls would look at me and think it's like, oh, like, am I not pretty enough? Like, what's wrong? They didn't understand that I was addicted to pornography for like 15 years of my life or 10 years of my life. I didn't tell them that because I was too prideful. And it was just awful, man. And all of my friends around me were doing the exact same thing. So I thought it was normal. But obviously, hindsight is 20/20. These were all extremely dysfunctional, broken relationships. And it took me a really long time to understand that. So 2020 rolls around, and we're all locked in our rooms, just like everybody was around 2020. And I have nothing to do except scroll on TikTok, still playing a bunch of video games, jerking off, and then going and getting drunk. And while I'm still stuck in this cycle of degeneracy, my twin brother starts going down a TikTok rabbit hole. Because, like I said, you didn't have a lot to do except scroll on your phone during the lockdown. And so my brother starts seeing all these videos on TikTok talking about how the world is going to end and we had not got the jab. So he's thinking like, oh, dude, they're going to come after you and like throw you in a FEMA concentration camp if you didn't get the vax. And he's starting to stress and worry and like thinking the world's going to end and everything. And I think God really showed up here because we had this like small foundation on the Bible and on Jesus because we were raised Catholic. So my brother remembers that there's a book in the Bible that talks about how the world is going to end. And he's like, oh, dude, I got to go check out that book and read and see how this story plays out. So while I'm screwing around, wasting a bunch of time and just busting nuts and playing video games in my room, my brother is in a room down the hall reading the Bible. And he's reading the book of Revelation. I think he binged it and he read it in like a day. And from that point forward, my brother gets saved. And his life takes a total 180 because before that, he was doing everything I was doing. He was going out to the bars. He was chasing after girls. He was dating a girl at the time, and he was having sex with her. He was addicted to porn. And his life does a total 180. Like I said, he goes from being exactly like me to all of a sudden, he's not partying. He's not having sex with his girlfriend. He's not watching pornography. And he won't even let me listen to Post Malone whenever we're hanging out together in the car. And so I had no idea what was going on. It made absolutely no sense to me. I just kind of assumed like, oh, this is super weird. He's following Jesus now, and he's just a dork now. I remember calling him like a wussy to all of my fraternity brothers because he wouldn't come out with us anymore. And in my head, I still wanted to hold on to my life. Like I didn't want to become the nerdy Christian guy. And I didn't want to submit to God. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to continue doing what I wanted to do and live my life on my own terms. But little did I know, 8 months later, after white knuckling it and trying to do it on my own, everything was about to change for me in my life. So the toxic relationship that I was in finally dissolved. It was the same relationship that I've posted videos on my YouTube channel, where I was dating this girl for 8 months and I thought I was going to get married to her. And it was all the same stuff, revolved around drinking and partying. I was in a frat, she was in a sorority. Like literally everything that we did was going and getting drunk and sleeping together. And I was still addicted to pornography and couldn't explain why I couldn't get it up half the time. And she ended up breaking up with me. And I think she literally was with some guy the same night that I ended up getting broken up with 4 hours later. I get a text from one of my buddies like, hey, dude, what happened with you and your girl? I just saw her walking to the bar with a different guy. And so that was the rock bottom moment for me. That was in December of 2020. And I had to come to terms with reality. And I realized that I'd been going down the same dead end road over and over and over again for the last 4 years, thinking I could fill that hole in my heart with women and sex and porn and drinking and clout and all this stuff. But that road ended in a dead end every single time. And I also realized that my brother's life looked so much more fulfilling and peaceful than mine did. And the only thing that he had that I didn't have was Jesus. So at that moment, I decided to finally submit to God and put my full faith in Jesus Christ. And God came in and completely changed every aspect of my life. Filled me with the Holy Spirit. I get born again. And he sets me free from all of my cycles of addiction. And I'm talking about like the slavery, the bondage to sin. Like I was the guy who could not even go a day without masturbating or trying to have sex with a girl or going and getting drunk. And God broke that cycle for me. Of course, it wasn't a perfect process. Sanctification is a lifelong process, but over time, God completely changed my life and set me free from the porn and the sex and the drinking and the need for validation from other people. He also removed me from my circle of degenerate friends from back home in Louisiana. And he brought us to Texas because he knew what his word says is that bad company corrupts good morals. And he knew that I could never reach my highest potential as a Christian man or as a man of God or fulfill my purpose if I was still hanging out with a bunch of people that were not saved. So God gets us into Texas. We move to Austin. He gets us plugged into this godly community with all these mentors, and we start getting discipled and learning the Bible and growing in discernment. And we start to surround ourselves with godly men for the first time in my life. Proverbs 13:20 says that he who walks with the wise will become wise, but the companion of a fool will suffer harm. And that was me to a T. The last 4 years of my life, just hanging out with guys that had no relationship with God and wondering why my life was a total disaster. So, like I said, the first time in my life, I surrounded myself with men who were already where I wanted to be, men with good families, with a relationship with God, who were free from addictions, and we became wise. So this catapults me into the year 2023. Because I was in a new state and didn't really know a tremendous amount of people, I was kind of forced into what I would call the lonely chapter of my life. And that was from 2021 to about 2023. And the reason why I call it the lonely chapter is because I didn't really have much to do except read my Bible, study the Bible, memorize verses, work out, and then work. So that was basically what I would do every single day. I was just working out, reading the Bible, and that was just on repeat. But one of my favorite verses is Matthew 6:33. It tells us to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And so that's what I was trying to do to the best of my ability. I was trying to prioritize my relationship with God, to learn and to grow and to see what God was calling me to do. And around this time, this was probably 2022, like late 2022, I stumbled across a guy who many of you have probably heard of, maybe even from some of Mario's videos, a guy named Hamza on YouTube who was blowing up at the time. He was making self-improvement content, but it was extremely degenerate. Like overall, he had a great message, helping guys to become better men, become more masculine, find their purpose, attract girls, all this stuff. But there was no God. It was just self-idolatrous, like, you get the money, you get the girls and have as much sex as you want, like very hedonistic lifestyle, which obviously, if you follow Jesus, know is not a fulfilling life at all. And I also realized after finding his videos that there were not a lot of masculine Christian men that were making valuable content on social media. So for obviously a while, I debated whether or not I was called to step up and make content on social media. But eventually, after procrastinating for a very long time, I finally decided to pull the trigger and start my own channel. And once again, it has completely changed my life. I've had so many doorways and opportunities open up just from me grabbing a camera and posting my story and my learning lessons and all the mistakes that I made on YouTube. I connected with other content creators and social media influencers. I've had opportunities to go on podcasts, start podcasts, go out, evangelize, share my faith with people, both online and in person, praying for people at gay pride parades and just ripping videos on YouTube and growing on social media. And it's been incredible. I've been able to impact millions of people around the world, very similar to what Mario's done. And it's such a blessing. Like I finally found my purpose for the first time in my life. I figured out what God had called me to do. And it's been extremely rewarding. The amount of DMs and conversations that I've had with people over the last almost 2 years, people sharing their stories with me and talking about how, just me simply making videos of me yapping about my life has impacted them in a positive way and helped them to grow in their relationship with God. It is by far the most fulfilling thing that I've been able to do thus far. And so it'll be 2 years in November. The channel on YouTube has almost 54,000 subscribers. It's reached almost 4 million people. And I do this full time at this point, and it's such a blessing. So a lot can change in a short period of time whenever you seek God and you prioritize him and you make him number one in your life and you say, hey, God, what do you want me to do? And you just listen and you get uncomfortable, right? A lot of you guys need to understand that whenever God is calling you to do something great for his kingdom, it's going to be oftentimes very far outside of your comfort zone. And I didn't really get into this, but for nearly 3 years, I procrastinated on starting this channel. Like I felt called to do it and I would cope and I'd make excuses and say, oh, dude, I don't know enough about the Bible. My story's not that good. There's not much that I could really give people. I'm not good behind the camera. And I would make up all these BS excuses for why I couldn't get started and post the first video. But almost 3 years went by and I realized that feeling of uncertainty and fear was never going to go away. And I felt the same amount of fear and anxiety whenever I pressed record on the first YouTube video 3 years later than I did whenever I was first thinking about getting started. So one of the main messages I want to leave you with is if God is calling you to do something, you need to realize that it's not going to be perfect. And the only way to get where God is calling you to be is by taking what I would call imperfect action and realizing you're probably going to suck and you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. But if you don't give up, you can't fail. Okay. So that's my story. That's my testimony on how Jesus completely changed my life. I also wanted to leave you guys with a few tidbits of advice I help Christian men, specifically just in their life in general, but also with attracting a godly woman. And so I wanted to give you guys just like a 3-step framework that you can follow to attract your own if you're single. So step number 1 in the framework is to know your maker. Now, realize that everything I'm giving you guys is taken straight out of the Bible. This is taken specifically from Genesis chapter 2, the creation story, Adam and Eve. All right. So step number 1 is know your maker, know God. Okay. You need to have a deep and intimate relationship with God, meaning you need to read his word. You need to pray daily. And you also need to surround yourself with godly men who can sharpen you and give you advice. A lot of you guys watch Mario's content or my content on social media because you're looking for guidance, but you need to find people who are already where you want to be in your walk with God or in their walk with God so that you can surround yourself with them, ask them questions, and learn from their mistakes, right? A really great quote that you guys should all internalize is that a wise man learns from his mistakes, but an even wiser man learns from the mistakes of other people, right? Find guys that are already where you want to be and ask them a million questions so that you can shortcut your path to success. And like I said, a great verse for you to live your life off of is Matthew 6:33. Put God first, seek him and his righteousness, number one, and everything that's in alignment with God's will, what he wants to happen, what he wants to add in your life will be added unto you. You're not going to have to white knuckle it or force it or try and just like force it your way into whatever situation. You're just going to be added into your life whenever you put God number one. So remember that. The second step that is within this framework is you need to fulfill your mission. Okay. Like I said, this is taken from Genesis 2. So when God created Adam, he put him in the garden and he said, hey, your only job is to work and keep this garden. This is your mission. This is your purpose. You got to have a relationship with me. You and I are going to fellowship together and have a deep, intimate relationship, and you're going to work in this field. And that's all you got to worry about. Okay. So it wasn't until Adam was fulfilling his calling and doing what the Lord had created him to do that God decided that it was not good for him to be alone. And he decided that he wanted to create a helper or a helpmate that was suitable to help him with fulfilling his mission or his purpose. Okay. So you need to know God, you need to have a relationship with him, but then you also need to figure out what your purpose is, and you need to be fulfilling that, right? You need to be working and doing what God has called you to do. Okay. I'll give you guys just a piece of advice on finding your purpose. If you have no idea what that is, the word purpose or finding your purpose is to glorify God. That is what your purpose is. And the word glorify means to make him known. Okay. So anybody can do this. It doesn't matter where you live or what ethnicity you are or what you do for work or any of that crap. If you were created to glorify God, you can make him known regardless of what you do. All you got to do is open up your mouth and share Jesus with people. And that's the most effective way to make God known in your life. And anybody can do that. Okay, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. Even Paul was not an eloquent speaker, and many guys who were used in powerful ways in the Bible were not good speakers. So it doesn't matter how you do it. The Bible tells us that God's word never returns void. Every time you speak and you share your testimony, you share the Bible or anything like that with other people, the Bible tells us that it always accomplishes its ultimate purpose. You have no reason to overthink or make up a bunch of excuses. You just got to open your mouth and fulfill the Great Commission, which is what the Bible calls us to do, making disciples of all the nations. But you got to be willing to open your mouth, like I said. And then finally, once you're doing those first two things, then and only then will God deem if it's good for you to meet your mate. Okay, it's not complicated. After you're prioritizing your relationship with God and you're fulfilling your purpose, if it's in God's will for you to get married, he's going to bring that woman into your life. Like I said. It's not going to be white knuckling. It's not going to be a bunch of guessing games. And, oh, dude, she took 48 hours to respond. What do I do? Or she told me she wants to put me in the friend zone. How do I get my way out of it? It's not going to be any of that crap. It's going to be smooth because the things that are from God are smooth. Okay. Another thing that I need you guys to understand is that God is not a genie. We do not follow God so that he will do what we want him to do. Okay, he's not a genie in a bottle. You can't just say, hey, God, I'm reading my Bible and I prayed today. Give me a wife already. That's not how this works. And in all honesty, sometimes it is God's will for us to be single for a period of time or maybe for the rest of our lives. Statistically, most of you will get married. That's just how it is. Most of you will end up in a marriage with a wife and children. But for some people, you are just called to be single and celibate, just like the Apostle Paul and Jesus. Okay. And what's actually cool about this is both of those men, one of them being God, had the greatest impact on this earth and on Christianity, and they were both single and celibate. Okay. Paul even goes on to say that being single is a better calling because the only thing you have to worry about is your relationship with God, which is, at the end of the day, the most important thing. Right? The Bible says if you gain everything in this world, but you lose your soul, you've lost everything. You totally missed the point. So that's why Matthew 6:33 is so important for us to follow. Whenever we put God number one, we need to do that because it's a command. And Jesus says that if we love God, we will obey his commands. That's what it says in John 14:15. So all you need to do is just turn off your brain, read your Bible, follow God, and realize that he's going to give you exactly what you need. And that's all you need at the end of the day. So I just wanted to list out a few more things on a big reason why a lot of guys do stay single. Number one, they're not ready, either spiritually, mentally, or financially. You're just not where you need to be. Because at the end of the day, like, God's not going to bring you a godly woman if he knows that you're just going to squander it or screw it up. He's going to bring her to you whenever you're ready. And a big part of that is being able to lead her spiritually. I don't know how much you guys have heard about like biblical leadership just with watching videos on the internet, but it is an incredibly crucial part of your self-development journey, is becoming a competent leader, especially mentally, because this girl is going to be coming into your life looking to you to guide her and to lead her, because the Bible says whenever you get married in Ephesians 5 that the man is head over his wife, just as Christ is head over the church. She's going to be looking to you to lead her in Bible studies and lead her going to church and lead everything, right? Lead the dates and planning and all that stuff. So it's very important for you to become a competent leader. And one of the best ways to do that is by putting yourself out there and volunteering to lead in your church, in your community, and your friend group. Get people together and lead them. Say, hey, boys, we're getting together for a Bible study, and I'm going to lead us through the book of John, and you do the work and you lead everybody. You lead everyone in prayer, and that's going to prepare you for leading in a future relationship, because they're going to be looking to you. Your wife and your kids are going to be looking to you for leadership in every aspect of their lives. So get ready now. Don't just sit around watching TikTok and jerking off. Prepare yourself while you're single. And then obviously it's important to be financially ready. So become a good financial steward. If you don't already have a job right now, get a job, work your job, follow that second part in the framework. You need to have your purpose and be working like a man so that you have money to be able to take her on dates and provide. Another reason why men stay single is they're in the wrong environments. I think a good analogy for you guys is, let's say you like to fish and you wake up early on a Saturday morning, but instead of going to like a local pond or a local body of water, you decide to drive to a desert. Okay. It's probably pretty unlikely that you're going to catch any fish because there's no water in the desert. There's no fish. Okay. So I bring that up because a lot of guys treat their dating life the exact same way. They say, man, I want this godly, feminine, traditional woman with conservative values and all this stuff, but they're looking for in the clubs and the parties and at the gym with, girls with their butt cheeks out, or on social media or these dating apps. And they don't know what they're looking for. They're swiping right on all these girls that just post thirst traps and have nothing about Jesus anywhere on their profile. And they're like, bro, why isn't she the one? Why is she trying to get me to have sex with her? Like, what's going on? It's like, dude, you're looking in all the wrong places, okay? Instead of doing all that stuff and wasting your time, you need to be plugged into a good local church and serving and doing what God has called you to do, right? Another good analogy for you guys is the triangle analogy, where let's say you got a triangle and you got you down here at the bottom left, she's down here at the bottom right, and at the top is God, okay? If you two try and pursue one another, then you may get closer to one another, but you're not going to get closer to God. And you're probably going to end up in a ditch, into sexual immorality, or doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Instead, you need to be chasing after God, following Matthew 6:33. And look at that. The closer that you get to God and she gets to God, the closer you're going to get to one another. Okay? So that is a simple way of looking at it. You should be seeking God, number one, doing what he's called you to do, faithfully going to church and serving and plugged in a good community, and trusting in God that if it's in his will for you to meet a woman and get married one day, he's going to make it happen. Like I said, the final reason why a guy stays single is he's simply not put himself out there. You may be in all the right environments and doing all the stuff, but if you're not introducing yourself to other people and you're not making friends and getting invited to social events outside of church, it's no wonder why you're not meeting anybody. Even if you're not cold approaching a bunch of girls at church, which I would not recommend, if you're not meeting any guys and you're not getting invited to do stuff, you have no friends. Like, even if your plan is to get introduced by a mutual friend, that's not going to happen because you don't have any mutual friends. So we need to be plugged into community and going out and doing stuff. And when you are there, introduce yourself to both guys and girls. Don't come at it in a cringy way, like I got to get her phone number and go on a date with me immediately. Like, just introduce yourself to people to meet them, okay? And let the cards fall where they will. So don't make the mistake that I made for the first 3 years that I lived in Austin, where people invite you to go and do stuff and you say no because you're too busy or you're grinding on your business or you're going to the gym or whatever. Stop doing that. Say yes. Turn the no into a yes and just go to as many godly activities as you can, and it'll increase your likelihood of meeting that godly woman. So if you guys want to attract a godly woman in your life, you need to follow that framework, know your maker, fulfill your purpose or your mission. And that way, God can introduce you to your mate. And definitely 100% do not just listen to anything that's been gone over on this, 2.5 hour stream at this point. If you're just listening to this like mindlessly and you're screwing around and you're, scrolling on social media and not paying attention, you're totally wasting your time. You need to lock in and not only listen actively to what these guys are teaching you, but also take action on what they're telling you to do. Okay. Finally, trust in God's plan. Like I've said 40 times on this already, if it's God's plan for you to get married, he's going to make it happen. You guys need to realize that if everything from the foundation of the world till the end has already been written, right? We already got the book of Genesis. We already got Revelation, and we, all of us, are somewhere in the middle, then we can trust that everything's already been written in the book. Okay. God already knows every hair that's on your head. Everything's numbered. He knows what you're going to do, how you're going to glorify his name. He knows who you're going to get married to and who your kids are going to be. He knows all that stuff. And God has total control over everything. So we just trust in his providence over our life. And you're going to be just fine if you're willing to do that and submit to him. So finally, if you guys are interested and you want to connect with me further, you can follow me on YouTube and on Instagram. And those are my tags. So that's all I got.
All right, guys, make sure you subscribe to Braden. Braden, one quick question, which I feel like a lot of people have been asking is, what if someone is in a relationship with an ungodly person? So if they're in the middle of a relationship with someone who's not prioritizing Christ in their life at the current moment, are there ways around that? Or is that something kind of like a roadblock? So what would be your best advice for that? And I think he accidentally left, but could you not achieve the same level of life quality without God? I'm very much agnostic when it comes to this stuff. Kind of wondering what your thoughts are about achieving this without God. Well, God is real. So if you're unaware of that, then you'd be, yeah. But anyways, Braden is back. Braden, just to repeat the question one time, if you're in a relationship with an ungodly person, what do you do? And then I have after that.
Yeah. What was the second half of that question, Mario? It cut out a bit.
Yeah. So it's very simple. What if someone is in a relationship with an ungodly person? What do they do? Is there ways around that? Do they have to, is that person not right for them? What would your best advice for this?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's a lot of factors. The Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians 6:14 that we are not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers. So that means if she's not a believer, then you should not be in a relationship with her. And it's actually a blessing if you figure this out before getting married, because once you're married, like, it's a covenant. There's no way out biblically unless she leaves or sexual immorality. So I would say, like, if she's open to Jesus and she wants to put her faith in Christ and get born again, and she's open to your leadership, that's fine. But even then, it's like, are you two equally yoked? Like, are you much further along than she is spiritually? That can cause a lot of problems and a lot of issues in a relationship. At the end of the day, the question is, are you willing to put up with that, knowing that there's so many people out there who would probably be a much better fit than trying to convert some woman. We don't flirt to convert. You just find a woman who is godly, who loves Jesus, because you're going to save yourself a lot of time. And who knows, maybe you break up with that girl and she finds Christ and starts taking a relationship with Jesus very seriously. And then you guys can reconnect in the future, but it's not your job to save her, is what I would say.
Okay. I'm going to write that down. Don't flirt to convert. Last question. Could you not achieve the same quality of life without God? I'm very much agnostic when it comes to this stuff, and I kind of wondering what your thoughts are about achieving all of that you said without God. And that was a question from Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew, good question. Like I said in that verse, the Bible tells us that if we gain everything in this world, but we don't have God and we don't have a relationship with God, we lose everything, because we're going to spend eternity away from God. And even practically, like, I've experienced the most fulfillment and peace in my life knowing that I know where I'm going whenever I die, and I have a creator and a father that loves me and is there for me. If you're agnostic or you're an atheist, everything is just by chance, right? There's no meaning for anything at all. Life is totally meaningless, which is a very hopeless place to be, right? You get broken up with, you lose your job, all your money stolen from you, you get beat up, any of that stuff. It's all just by chance if there is no God. And I would encourage you, dude, like, don't just take our word for it. Do the research yourself. Open up a Bible, do some studying, get different perspectives, study, the life of Jesus and the crucifixion and the resurrection, and do the research and see if you don't come to the conclusion that both Mario and I have come to, that Jesus Christ is real, that he lived, died, and was crucified and rose again. And if you put your faith in him, you will have salvation and the best possible life that you could live. So
I love it. And then last question from Pablo, because I feel like it's one I get a lot and I want to hear your perspective on it. So Pablo asks, how do I grow closer to God? There are days where I'm on fire for him, and there are days that I'm not.
That's a great question. So one thing that I want everybody on this call to understand is your relationship with God should not be dependent on your emotions or how you feel. Just like going to the gym, dude, there's going to be a lot of days where you don't feel like getting in the gym. You may even go to the gym and you're like, this absolutely sucks. This is the last thing I would want to be doing right now. But the difference between people who get jacked and people who don't are the guys who get jacked go to the gym consistently and they diet and they exercise regardless of how they feel in the morning. They don't hit snooze. They don't make excuses. They don't procrastinate. They just get it done. They get the work done. And if you want to grow in your relationship with God, stop asking yourself, how do I feel? Just make sure that you do the inputs. You read the Bible. You read, I'd say, 1 or 2 chapters a day. Try and pray. Try and talk to God throughout the day. Surround yourself with godly people. And over time, the consistency will compound. There's no way that you will not grow in your relationship with God if you control the inputs and you just continue to do the work. Over time, you fast forward 6 months, you will become a completely different person. You'll feel much more peace. You'll have a lot more Bible verses memorized. You'll be much more spiritually mature. You will know God more, and you're going to have a better relationship with him, and you'll be a better leader in your community. So don't worry about how you feel. There are days where I don't feel like reading the Bible or praying. It's the last thing I want to do, but I do it anyway because I want to prioritize my relationship with God, and I know if I do it, I will grow. So that's what I would focus on.
Amazing advice. So everybody who's on here and anyone who's watching this after the fact, go subscribe to Braden. I'm sure many of you heard during his presentation. A lot of people were even saying that your story is very similar to mine. I told you that over messages.
Yeah.
Hamza got me inspired, and then I was chasing women for the wrong reasons and all that kind of stuff. And it's great, and your message is great, and that's why I definitely wanted you on here. So anybody who's watching now or after the fact, subscribe to Braden. Braden, thank you for hopping on here. I really appreciate it. If you ever need me to return the favor one day, I definitely will, do that in any way that you want. And, love your message again. And thank you for coming on here.
Thank you, brother. Same. God bless all of you guys. I'll see y'all around.
All right.
Mario.
See ya, Braden. All right. So regarding the free stuff, everyone will get free stuff. If you're in my free community, join the free community. This is the free community. This is not the green pill one. If you join there, I'll be sending an email with all the free ebooks. So you get the free ebooks. Hope you guys learned a lot in this live. Thank you for joining to the end. I know it was long, and definitely watch it back. And I will see you guys next time.